morning. This is Game Day Breakfast. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me it is the one and only former Republic of Ireland striker, Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
We have an exceptionally busy show for you today. We're going to be talking about the Club World Cup. We'll have a look ahead to tonight's Under-21 European Championship final. Can England retain their trophy? And we'll talk Lyon, F1, and some British and Irish Lions too. This is Game Day Breakfast. Now, TalkSport will have full coverage of the Women's European Championship. Here's our correspondent Uma Gurav with a look ahead to what's coming up this summer.
The 15th edition of the Women's Euros is heading to the land of chocolate, cheese, fancy watches, and of course some truly beautiful scenery. Yep, Switzerland is hosting the tournament this summer as the Lionesses look to retain that title they won back in England in 2022. And everyone else is going to try and take it off them. So here's everything you need to know about Euro 2025. It all kicks off on the 2nd of July and culminates in a huge showpiece final which will take place on the 27th of July in Basel. The matches will be spread across Switzerland's many beautiful stadiums. Zurich, Lucerne, Basel, Sion, St Gallen, Bern, Geneva and Thun are all being used. So which teams are in the running? Well, 16 teams have qualified and they've been split into 4 groups of 4. The hosts, Switzerland, are joined in Group A by Norway, Iceland and Finland. World Cup champions Spain are in Group B with Portugal, Belgium and Italy. Group C is made up of heavy hitters Germany and Sweden, as well as Denmark and Poland. That leaves the reigning champions, the Lionesses, in Group D. And wow, it's a tough one because they've also got France, the Netherlands and major tournament first-timers Wales in their group. France are one of the big hitters of the women's football world and classified as serious contenders this year. So are the Netherlands, not to mention they've actually won the Euros back in 2017. Do you know who their manager was when they did that? Yep, a certain Serena Wiegman. As for Wales, they are the underdogs, but don't count them out because a team with nothing to lose can be dangerous indeed, especially thanks to their super-skilled manager, Rhian Wilkinson. But let's talk about England. Their title defence gets underway in Zurich on the 5th of July when they play France. They stay in the city for the game on the 9th, where they're up against the Netherlands. And then they finish the group stages out in St Gallen on the 13th against Wales in an exciting home nations clash.
There you go. Everything covered for you, and we're going to be bringing you it live across the TalkSport network. But first, all eyes are on Bratislava tonight as England's under-21s take on Germany in the European Championship final.
Put it into the path of Harvey Elliott in the area! What a finish! Harvey Elliott lashes it home for England! And England's young guns are through to another final. The holders of the Under-21 European Championship will have the chance to retain their trophy. England go through to face Germany in the final on Saturday night.
You know, it can't be an achievement, even though, you know, I'm really proud of the lads just to get to a final. I think, you know, we want to try and win it. We believe that we can. I've got a lot of belief in this squad.
Swung into the middle now, good ball as well, and it's such an easy goal as Nelson Viper scores his first for the Germany under-21.
To get back-to-back at this level, when there's such high quality throughout Europe, to really take control of the tournament, I think is fantastic. And if they can get one more game over the line, then they're going to be heroes throughout the country.
Yeah, big game then coming up in Bratislava this evening, and we're going to start by focusing on the England's young lions. Before we talk about that, just quickly, how are you, Cass?
Yeah, I'm really good. Amazing week of sport. Really was. The cricket during the week was. I mean, I was sad. Look, I'm not an authority on cricket at all, but I loved it. I've just loved that whole day. It was a Headingley and seeing Crawley. Duckett getting runs on the board early doors, and then it just continued. It was a great performance.
It was a classic test match in the sense
absolutely.
of, you know, one minute India, it's all about India, they're going to win this one. Then it's like this is going to settle it as a draw, and then obviously late on England got a great run chase on, and then as you say, go on and win it and win it brilliantly. It was fantastic. Had it all, and that's what you want from Test match cricket.
Do you know what's quite interesting now? I watch the betting markets as the sport's going on as well.
Oh.
It's really interesting how it moves.
It's
a bit like like watching shares. You know, going up and down and what's happening, and it changes literally every 5 minutes. It's crazy.
I like the idea of shares in India, shares in England. and up and down, up and down. Right, I wonder what the shares would be like in England's young Lions, who are 1 win away from retaining their European under-21 crown. Lee Carsley's side are in back-to-back finals then. They've got their sights set on going all the way once again as they face Germany then in this final. Harvey Elliott stole the show on Wednesday night, scoring both goals in a 2-1 win over the Netherlands in that semi-final. And his England manager is delighted. He's hitting form at the right time.
I thought he was outstanding. I think he's definitely grown as the tournament's gone on. I think, he was definitely frustrated at the last tournament with the amount of game time he had, but the players that he was competing with, him and Charlie, had to be patient. They showed during the qualifying campaign that they were ready to lead and they were ready to carry the team on, along with, the other players. But Harvey's getting stronger as the tournament's going. He's a threat in front of goal, which we always knew. He's definitely got assists in his arsenal as well, and hopefully he can continue that in the final.
So there is Lee Carsley, full of praise for Harvey Elliott, someone that you'd know very well as a Liverpool fan. Cass, he scored 4 goals in this tournament so far. He's the second top scorer. What do you make of Harvey Elliott then?
Well, as you know, we've talked about him. Always loved him as a player. Not saying it now. I've said it for a long, long time. I felt sorry for him because Mo Salah's in his position really at club level and he's played limited football for Liverpool. And it's just a case of Mo Salah signed another 2 years at Liverpool. Harvey's got a decision to make. He's technically superb. He reminds me of Ray Houghton. Ray Houghton at his very best who won titles with Liverpool, who was a tenacious, always wanting the ball, cuts inside, gets in dangerous positions, gets vital goals. Harvey Elliott does all of that. And he's a real asset, not just for Liverpool, but for England under-21s, because he leads. I think he's got that ability. I mean, if you saw was it his second one, where he cuts inside and then he jinks one way and then goes the other. And he just feels like he can get it out of his feet really quickly when necessary. Both feet. He can do it right and left. He loves to cut in on the left side. And if you want to place in Burmo, Brentford, go and have a go at Harvey Elliott. Try and get Harvey Elliott. I mean, he's just I think he's a really I think he's an infectious character that just lights up a squad. And I think this England squad have a lot of that quality, and that's why they're doing so well.
He's one of those, again, where you look at his age and you think, crack, he's only 22. But he's been around for a long, long time. And
had a really bad injury at one time as well. Cost him dearly when he had a severe injury.
I mean, he can play in other positions. He can play more centrally in a sort of attacking role. But again, at Liverpool, you've got a lot of options. So it's very difficult to see where he would fit into a Liverpool starting 11. So for his career, you would say probably now is the time to look elsewhere.
I wouldn't want to lose him.
I know you don't want to. I know you don't. I
think you have. Well, look, if you're a kid and you've been at the club for a long time, and I know that lots of these young lads come in via different directions anyway. But if you want to play football week in, week out, and be a starter, unfortunately, you have to leave a big club, and that's just the path you have to take, because I don't think he's the type of player that want to sit on the bench and just do cameo performances. I don't see that with Harvey Elliott. I think if it was me and just watching him, I'd say to him, Harvey, you got to play first team football. You got to.
Well, it gets
don't
to
waste
a point
these
where
years.
you have to.
Because, and he's 22 now.
Yeah.
And I still love him to be part of the squad at Liverpool, and I'm sure Arne Slot would as well. But you've got to go and find your place to play your best football week in, week out.
England, when you look at what happened in this tournament so far, have already lost to Germany. That was in the group stage.
Yeah.
That was the only defeat for England. As for Germany, they have had a 100% winning record so far. Does that group stage victory play any part going into this final, or is it irrelevant in the sense of we are now seeing a better England team than what we saw in that group stage?
Yeah, well, you have to remember as well that obviously Germany qualified after their 2 first victories, didn't they? And they've made numbers of changes. They are the favourites. That's clear. There's a number of stars in that Germany team that are going to be a problem. And but I do think England have looked like every game they've got slightly better, and that in itself. And I just watch them. I mean, their midfield. I look at Anderson in there, Scott in there, McAtee. They're really good players. I mean, all of them have done fantastic. The one thing I'll be very conscious of, James Beadle in goal.
Right.
Don't do that. Risk what you're doing. If clubs are watching you and the way you're getting off your line and trying to anticipate stuff that comes in, the Dutch goal that was scored, the Netherlands who scored against them, because he's tried to read the situation and be prepared and end up getting beaten. And so they obviously, you knew when the striker scored that the other day for the Netherlands against England, he didn't even look. He knew the keeper had been gambling in previous games. So I'd warn him against doing that. You know, the Germans will know that. They will know what you're doing. But it'll be a great classic game. I'm really looking forward to it tonight.
And Germany's Nick Woltermader is the to scorer. He's scored 6 so far. Didn't actually play against England in that
They left quite a few out, though, didn't they?
They did. Yeah. He was on the bench but wasn't brought into the attack in that one. In terms of England's defence, do they have enough to keep him at bay?
Well, if you go through it, Nat, it's probably going to be Livramento, We'll go Creswell, Konza, Hinshelwood at Brighton, That will probably be their back four. You know, they've all got experience of some sort, and I think all the qualities that, I mean, Livramento, he can go up and back, and you can switch him sides if you need to, you know, and he'll certainly be in England senior squad very, very soon on a regular basis, I feel. Creswell, stand out, Charlie Creswell, made one big mistake for the goal, but generally flawless. Kwanzaa, well, he's just been sold for decent money because, you know, all of them, when I look at this sort of England team and I think of, there's so many selfless players. I have to take Jay Stansfield.
Yeah.
All he does, he chases his backside off all over the pitch. Mm-hmm. His pressing was like Dembele for PSG. What he's doing is chasing down everybody. He's like a sprinter out the blocks to get as close as he can to a defender. They all do it really, really well. And that's down to Lee Carsley. He's made this team into a real juggernaut of pressing, and they do it. They're excellent at it.
Yeah, indeed. Right. Well, you can tune in to TalkSport to see if England can retain their under-21 European Championship title as they take on Germany. Ollie Klink will be presenting this one, and he'll have commentary from Joe Shannon and the former England under-21 midfielder Darren Ambrose. Kickoff for this one is at 8, and as Cass mentioned, Harvey Elliott might be looking for a new club. Keith Andrews, the new Brentford head coach, listening to what Cass has said. We'll talk about that appointment a little bit later on. And also, on the way next, we'll focus on Arsenal. What are they doing in this window? That's next. Good morning. This is Game Day Breakfast. It is the former FA Cup finalist Tony Cascarino who is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer, with you until 10 o'clock this morning, and then we bring you the warm-up game in Australia as the British and Irish Lions take on the Western Force live here on TalkSport then. A big debate has raged this week on The Breakfast Show. Gabby Agbonlahor, Alan Brazil and Shabana Hearn locked horns over this classic question: should a man always pay on a first date? Here is how it went down on TalkSport Breakfast.
Good job, mate.
Do you take
You've got to think of some jokes.
Do you pay for the first date?
Yes.
Does the men still pay for the first date?
Are we allowed to say? Are we allowed to comment? Are we getting in trouble? If I say yes, we might get in trouble.
No, a man should pay all the time.
You can't say that, mate.
You can't say it.
Oh, nowadays.
Can't do that.
Women can't pay.
How you can't do that, mate?
I didn't say women can't pay. It's chivalrous and nice to say, I'm getting this, don't worry, I've invited you, I'm getting this. What's wrong with that? How can that be wrong?
Well, why can't you just half it?
No, I'm not splitting bills.
Let her get a wallet out.
No. You really get married and then let them pay.
I wouldn't mind going on a date with you, to be fair.
Yeah, so Alan Brazil there is basically saying lock them down and then they can start paying, is what he's alluding to there. So you lull them in thinking, this guy is, as he said, chivalrous. He'll always pay for me. Once that ring is on that finger, it's a different Alan Brazil.
Do you know what? I listened to this clip now. What made me laugh is the music they had in the background.
Oh, I know.
Which it's Serge Gainsbourg and Jane Birkin.
Yes.
Just him one on blue. Okay. And I'm just laughing because I was driving the car and I was thinking, I know they're going to ask me this in the weekend.
Of course.
Right?
Natural.
Should we pay? Well, what would you like for breakfast?
Well, exactly this. Do you know what? You are one of the most generous, I must say. You are always offering to pay for breakfast here at TalkSport, but even when we go out as a team, you're always the first to put your hand in the pocket. So, yes.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for Mrs. Cascarino. She has no money left.
No, I wouldn't be comfortable. I mean, and that's an old-fashioned way of thinking, but I'm not comfortable with splitting. Even with my friends, I'm not talking about even in relationships. I just say, if I do it, because sometimes they'll go, I'll do it today.
Yeah.
You know, I was at a golf day the other day. My friend done the whole golf day and helped people. And I just think, if you're in that position, what a nice gift it is to say to someone.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it for any other reason. I just say, no, it's me. It's my turn. That's it. Don't worry.
But that's how I would see it. It's my turn.
And you do.
Yeah.
You do. You said something, no, I get it this weekend. And I'll go, oh, whatever. You know, but it's...
Yeah, it's the fact you go, all right, that upsets me.
Maybe. No, I did laugh because I was thinking, well, I've always been like that. And some of my misses... Well, how can I say this? I said, when you're on your third wife and you're... And my second one was quite devastating, as in financially. And I used the line, and it's a bit of a joke here. This is a joke coming. We went half each on the last house we sold. Okay, I got the outside. Okay, but when you've been sort of through all them things, I just think that's me. I've always been like that. I just can't. Mm-hmm. You know, my dad was quite generous, although he wasn't a guy that would go out for meals regularly, but he would always make sure my mum was okay. Yeah. Do you see what I mean? He'd always say, my mum always has said, whatever my dad was like, you know, he always would, if I asked him for something, he'd say, that's fine, that's okay. Yeah. And I sort of got brought up with that, with my dad doing that, saying, no. If my mum wanted something or asked for something, and she wasn't one of them that demanded, like, you know, I want this, I want that. She was never like that. But if she did ask, he would always say, if he could do it, he'd do it. Yeah. There's something nice about that, isn't there?
Oh, of course. And look, it does partly depend on how you're brought up. I totally get that, and some people are traditional.
And some people just can't do it.
No, of course not. I probably am one of those that will try, especially when you're early stages, will go halves, because I don't want anyone to ever think they have to pay
exactly,
for me. If I won't argue. If they go, no, I'm paying, then I'll go, okay, fine. But then next time it's on me, whatever we do, it's on me. Yeah. So but each to their own.
It's as long as you're not taking the mickey. You know, if anyone's taking the mickey, and just keep doing it. And
I tell you what, some of the stories and things you see on social media, it does make you go, wow, what a world we live in. Yeah. I once saw a social media video where a woman's been taken out for dinner and she decides, this was in America, she decides to order like 10 extra takeout meals for her family. And the guy's like, I'm not having that. And he leaves.
Well, that's a red herring, a red flag.
Yeah, it was things like that, I mean, that is taking the mickey, isn't it? But right, let's talk about Arsenal, shall we? Craig in Windsor, thank you very much for your message. He's been in touch after I said we were going to talk about Arsenal. Yeah. He says, Arsenal have 3 signings getting announced soon, and Gyökeres and Sesko will also join. Absolutely no concerns.
What, both?
Or he says, we're going to be so much stronger, possibly more coming in too. So why does the media keep going on about it? We'll be fine, he says. But they're not done yet, Craig. That's why we're talking about it. You look at your rivals, Craig, they're getting their deals done. And you might be absolutely right. You might get it all done eventually. But it's just at this moment in time, they're all possibly going to happen or nearly happening, but we haven't seen them officially confirmed. What we do know is, in terms of Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad, that looks like that's going to happen, but we're still waiting the official confirmation. Kepa deal is close. They've also been linked with the Valencia centre-back Christian Mosquera. They're also set to sign Christian Norgaard from Brentford for a fee in the region of an initial £10 million, they say, with a possible $5 million in performance-related add-ons. But some fans are also asking, why aren't we prioritising our attack, which a lot of people have been talking about? Darren Bent joined Andy Goldstein on TalkSport Drive this week, as he usually does, and had this to say about Arsenal's lack of movement up top.
I do think the striker is, I'll feel a lot calmer once the striker is through the door. Yeah. Because at the minute I'm seeing reports I'm checking Fabrizio Romano's timeline every couple of minutes to see what's happening with the centre forward. Is it Gyökeres? Is it Sesko? Are we going to get one of them? Do you know what I mean? I'm hoping one comes through the door. So once that piece is in place, then it's right. Now we'll start adding. You add Zubimendi because, of course, Partey looks like he's going to go. So you need one of those.
Are you gutted Partey's going?
I'm gutted.
Yeah, I thought you would be.
Gutted. Because for so long, when it's him, Odegaard and Declan Rice, I like that 3. Looks strong, big, powerful presences, nice balance in the middle of the park. You get rid of him and Jorginho's gone as well. And I like Zubimendi. I think he's technically a good player. But I'm looking for. I need to see what he's going to come up against the Premier League.
And that's what a lot of Arsenals are saying. We want to see them come through the door. We have all these links. We're all this talk about it's nearly done, but it's not physically done.
No.
It's baffling in that sense.
It is done.
Which one?
I think Zubimendi will be done.
That's the closest one from what we know of, yeah.
You know, I was told by a friend who knows quite well that Kepa's been training with Arsenal as well in the last week or so, and they will get them done. I can't imagine they'll go into this season without going very aggressive, because they're in a position where they have to be. You know, they have to do the sort of deals that when Liverpool got close, you saw Alisson and Van Dijk come in for big fees. I think Arsenal are going to get there this summer, but it's all about timing and getting the right deals. And also you have to respect the European market. When it gets to July, things change financially. Yeah. So you get to that period and then you get the deals over the line. I don't think it'll be an issue. And Arsenal they have to get a centre forward. You have to have one, because if you don't, a centre forward that you can rely on. Most clubs should have 2, in my opinion. You should always have 2 centre forwards, because if one's out of form, or for whatever reason tactically, how you set up in a team, you can use the other one. Arsenal haven't had really... and Havertz will be back, and I think he's a valid addition to Arsenal. I like Havertz. I think he's always capable of something in a game that can make a difference. But I want him to have competition. Have a lot of competition for that centre-forward spot. If I was at Arsenal, I'd say, I want competition here. Because if you have competition in other positions and you haven't really got a natural centre-forward, you're missing a massive link in the team. You really are on that. You look at you even look at Nottingham Forest and you go, well, they had Chris Wood and they had one year he done really well. Before, when Chris Wood there, he wasn't in the team, Chris Wood, for a while. And 1 year at the start, if you go back the season before, 1 year he went really well, got quite a number of goals. They got 2 there. You know, you look at Newcastle, got Isaac, got 1 there, but they want competition for that position as well. Yeah, they're looking for competition. You've had Vizza, you've had Ivan Toney, you had, unfortunately, Thiago that got injured. Yeah. But you're getting competitions. Arsenal haven't had that.
Yeah. And I think you're right in the sense of the financial aspect of it, the PSR side of things. They probably do have to wait till July the 1st when it all starts again. And I'd agree with you as well. I don't think there's panic stations yet for Arsenal at all, and they will get a lot of these deals done. A quick word on Christian Norgaard, if you don't mind, because there's been a lot of snobbery I've seen about him and whether or not he's really the type of player that Arsenal should be looking at, because I think it was Gavi Agbonlor who said they were sort of shopping in the wrong places. They should be shopping in Waitrose and M&S, and yet they're shopping in Asda and Tesco. I think that was kind of what he alluded to. What I will say about Christian Norgaard, yes, I'm surprised. I didn't see that one coming. No. He's our club captain. I'm gutted that he might be leaving, like I'd be gutted with any player leaving. But what you're getting is a player who is a number 6, obviously by trade. He is one of he starts the build-up play, for example, at Brentford. He's one of those that put those tackles in. He'll do a bit of dirty work as well, so he might do an old tactical foul if needs be. He also is a threat at set pieces. He scored a number of goals last season. I'm not saying he's prolific, but he will still score goals. And he's a steady Eddie. And again, steady Eddie doesn't sound, wow, that's amazing. But isn't that what you want from a defensive midfielder at the end of the day?
What was Nobby Styles?
Well,
I'm not making a front about. You need that type of player in your squad. Mm-hmm. Is he going to be a starter?
Probably not.
No.
He might be more in the cup games, certain cup games.
He's going to play, but he's a squad player that will add to the team ethic and, if called upon, do a great job.
Yeah.
So you need that. You have to have that.
He is such a professional. Honestly, he is brilliant. And he's one of those, I can well imagine becoming a teacher's pet, because he was Thomas Frank's teacher's pet. He could easily be Mikel Arteta's teacher's pet. Not playing as regularly, but just because he will want to learn. He'll want to work under a manager like Arteta, I'm sure. And so in that sense, I wish people would stop looking at the fact he's from Brentford and just look at the style of play that he brings, and as in a type of person and player he is. And I just think he could be a terrific addition.
Well, I remember Liverpool signing Gary McAllister, at 35, when they had a young Steven Gerrard. He ended up coming in playing loads of football. You know, he was a free transfer. Okay, this is, 11 million. In football terms, it's nothing. Yeah. I wouldn't have a problem with that type of deal at all. You need them type of players through the door.
Squad player.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's all about depth at the end of the day. Okay, we'll continue to monitor everything that's going on at Arsenal. And as I say, Craig, we know it will happen. These deals will happen. It's just a matter of when. Okay, on the way next, we're going to focus on the Austrian Grand Prix. morning. This is Game Day Breakfast. With me is a man who was once sold for 12 tracksuits. That's a bargain. Tony Cascarino. And I'm Natalie Sawyer with you until 10 this morning. And how about this? The reunion of the century, so some are suggesting, is just around the corner. We're giving you a chance to win a pair of tickets to Oasis in Manchester on July the 19th. You heard that right. Oasis Live 25 is sold out, but TalkSport can get you in. And that is not all, because alongside those tickets, we're going to put you up for the night in a hotel and give you $5,000 as well, completely tax-free. Sounds like a great prize. So listen up right now for everything you need to know on how to enter.
All right, kid. You have to be over 18 to enter in the UK, excluding Northern Ireland. For the chance to win a pair of tickets to the most electrifying rock and roll reunion of the century, a hotel stay and $5,000 spending money, all you got to do is text the word Oasis to 83338 by Monday the 7th of July at 11 p.m. and you'll be entered into the draw to go supersonic this summer. Sorted. Right, here's all the legal stuff. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You've got to have the bill payer's permission or post your name and number to Oasis Prize Draw, PO Box 3190, Colchester, CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of July. This is a TalkSport limited promotion run on TalkSport, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com.
We wish you the best of luck. Right, F1 now, race weekend. It is the Austrian Grand Prix, which gets underway tomorrow. Joining us to look ahead to all of the action for this weekend, it is our F1 correspondent, Piers Pryor. Piers, good morning. How are you?
Piers. Good morning, guys. Looking forward to the Austrian Grand Prix. It's going to be a good one, I think.
It certainly is. Do you know what? Before we get on to the Austrian Grand Prix, Piers, I've got, if anyone's watching on our YouTube or your smart TV streaming services, this gaming setup you've got behind you, that is mightily impressive. My 14-year-old son would just be so jealous.
Yeah, it's been about probably 15 years in the making, iteratively getting better and better. It's a full 3-screen racing simulator, but you don't want to talk about that. We should talk about something.
I don't know, Piers. It's very impressive, but fair enough.
Very impressive. Before we go to the actual race in Austria, there's Mercedes and Toto Wolff of obviously flirting slightly with Verstappen, Max Verstappen. And I read something in the paper today which I thought quite interesting. It says the Times have reported that Verstappen could leave and activate in his contract by leaving if he doesn't get into the top three in a certain part of the season. Is that true? Would that be right, Piers?
I think it's possible. There's a chance of it. I think the chance is somewhat slim. I think it's always nice to have these fantasies about a world champion leaving the team he's in a world championship seat for, and it makes it even more juicy that it's with the rumours of going to Mercedes, which is, of course, famously the team he fought Hamilton so hard for at the World Championships those few years ago. I think it's unlikely because of the fact that George Russell is performing at such a high level at the moment, probably nearly on par with Max Verstappen, albeit maybe underappreciated at the moment due to the fact the Mercedes car generally isn't quite there good enough to compete for race wins. But George is very much in contract talks to return or retain that seat at Mercedes. I think it's likely we'll see a status quo for 2026, but it's all interesting times, isn't it, when you've got a driver at Mercedes in George Russell who's openly saying that another driver is holding up his contract talks, and that's just the power of Max Verstappen. He's just so good that he's potentially able to oust a pretty solid number one driver at Mercedes.
I mean, it does put a cat amongst the pigeons, doesn't it, really? And I wonder what it's like in the pit lanes right now when they're walking past each other, like, are they giving each other, like, the dead eye? Yeah. But is there any possibility, then, that if they were to sign Verstappen, that George Russell would stay on as well? I know it would be difficult because they're both battling it at the top end of the standings as such, but is that possible?
Do you know what? One of my friends, we were texting about this the other day, and he said he would give his right arm to see them go head to head in the same car because there's been a lot of needle between them over the last 6 to 12 months. I don't know if you guys have been, heard about the bits and pieces that have gone on between them. Back in Qatar last year, they had a bit of a spat, and then later on this year as well, they've had a bit of a toing and froing. Again, some of it is hammed up by the adrenaline of the race, and potentially also then continued by us, really, the media. But it's genuine needle. Like, they are both performing at a high level, very competitive individuals, often don't see eye to eye. So to see them in the same team would be box office. However, I think it's very unlikely because, unfortunately for maybe us fans who would love to see it, Kimi Antonelli is in the other seat at Mercedes. He's basically locked in as a young driver, and therefore the only way that Verstappen would realistically be alongside Russell is if he replaced Russell, and then it would probably be a straight swap Russell to Red Bull, but I just can't see it happening in my opinion.
Gosh, imagine though if they were on the same team, then the team orders come in as they're racing.
No chance.
Sorry, I can't hear you. I don't know what you're saying. That's what they'd be saying.
Tell us, race 11, Austrian Grand Prix. What can we expect?
Always produces drama. It's a great circuit. It's very short, 4.3 kilometres, which is a long way to run, but not a particularly long way in a Formula One car when you're averaging pretty much 250 kilometres an hour. 3 DRS zones around this circuit, which makes overtaking very much possible. We've seen drama here over the years. Between when the Mercedes drivers of Hamilton and Rosberg were battling it out. We saw drama last year as well between Norris and Verstappen when they were duking it out for the race win. But this weekend, I think it's as close as anyone could want for, really. I mean, Verstappen, you can't count him out. We know how good he is. Russell's been quick as well. And then you've got the McLarens, who are currently leading the way in the championship because... Oscar Piastri was third fastest in FP1, right there, followed by Alex Dunn, who was a debutant in practice. I'm sure we'll talk about him in a bit. And then the McLarens are 1-2 in practice 2 yesterday as well. So you can't count them out. But because it's the end of the rule cycle, the last year of these current regulations, it's so close. I mean, a second took you down to 14th place in FP2 yesterday. So if a driver makes a mistake in qualifying, they could find themselves out of position, which always makes for a good race.
You mentioned the Irishman Alexander Dunn. Let's talk about him then, debuting for McLaren. What was that like for him?
Amazing. Amazing performance from him. Not many drivers can jump in a Formula One car on the world stage at a F1 weekend for the first time and then be within 700ths of a second of someone who's currently leading the world championship in Oscar Piastri. Really, really impressive. He's actually in very good form at the moment in Formula 2, leads the championship, although he's had his own few controversies in recent times as well. So it's interesting to see how he's been able to bounce back from those to perform well. And it's put himself very much in the shop window for a seat in 26 or maybe 27 if things go his way for the rest of this season in F2.
I want to ask you because Ferrari have got Charles Leclerc and he's in the paper today. Obviously, Ferrari also with Lewis Hamilton. And he says that the quote, Ferrari is unique. The highs are higher and the lows are lower. And they're having a stuttering season, aren't they, compared to what you talk about McLaren, Red Bull, Mercedes?
Yeah. I mean, Ferrari typically in the last few years have followed very much that trend that Leclerc has alluded to. I don't want to be stereotypical, but they are an Italian team and very much proudly Italian. And the Italians do like to boom or bust, especially in Formula One. And at the moment, they're going through a bit of a phase where they're not performing at the level they want to. But they can pull out performances that are amazing. Like, we've seen it in the past. He was right there. He won Monaco last year with a car that really shouldn't have done it because of his driving, prowess. And they're just not being able to find it. It's the consistency they're lacking. But I think it's because the level in Formula One these days is just so high. I mentioned it a moment ago that we're at the end of the current regulation cycle. All the teams are so close together, and you have to be competing weekend in, weekend out, and absolutely firing on all cylinders, to pardon the pun. And they're just not quite achieving that at the moment. And it's not helped by the fact that there's a few struggles and a few niggles for Lewis Hamilton, who is granted at the end of his career. So that's not allowing them to, get regular podiums that they need to be challenging for the championship.
Just lastly, Piers, 2 questions in one. How do you see this one then working out this weekend? Who do you think can win this one? And do you have on your gaming setup there the simulation for the Red Bull Ring Grand Prix circuit, and have you done it in quicker time than anybody else?
Right, so firstly, I think it's going to be a McLaren this weekend. I can't call whether it's going to be Piastri or Norris.
Okay.
Norris has hit the ground running. He missed FP1 to allow that seat for Alex Dunn that we've spoken about. He's in FP2 and went quickest, so he's got the grip or the bit between his teeth. I think Norris is my pick for this weekend, which would make the championship more interesting, seeing that gap close. And yes, I do have the Austria Spielberg Red Bull Ring. No, I haven't set a world record lap time on it, but maybe I'll have to spend this afternoon trying to beat it.
Do you not have a TV as well next to it, do you? So could you be racing and watching at the same time on the same
I don't
circuit?
have the talent to be able to look at two things at once, unfortunately. Multitasking is not in my playbook.
All right, we'll let you off. As I say, tremendous setup there, and fabulous to talk to you this morning as well, Piers. Thank you.
Cheers guys. Have a great day.
That was Piers Pryor joining us, and we'll have updates on that Austrian Grand Prix from tomorrow when it starts at 2 here on Talk Sport. Now, Cass, I'm sure you're aware, it is Glastonbury this weekend taking place. I saw a bit of Lewis Capaldi, which is great to see that he's back performing, having had to take time off to deal with his mental health struggles. I think that was 2023. So great to see him back. Quite an emotional return for him. Tomorrow's headliner on the Pyramid stage will be legendary rocker and friend of TalkSport, Sir Rod Stewart. He's prepared a bumper set list of 20 songs over a 90-minute show to wow the crowd of around 250,000 who are expected to descend on Worthy Farm for this event. However, he may not have even made it to Somerset. So Rod has admitted that he's had to cancel a number of recent shows due to being struck down by a terrible case of flu. He told our colleagues at The Sun this time last week, I was thinking of cancelling. It was a close shave, he says. So we want to know this morning, what major events have you had to miss and why? Oh, nothing worse. Maybe it was a wedding. Maybe you could sneak your phone in and you watch it, while the wedding's taking place. While England were playing Spain in the final of the Euros, did you have to miss a holiday of a lifetime because you missed your plane? Whatever it is, let us know your scheduling disasters, and we want to hear the best of them throughout. So why not send us a voice note? It's your time to get those demons out. Just let it all out with us here on the show this morning. You can WhatsApp us with that voice note on 03717 223344. You can also message us there and text us to 81089. Coming up next, we're going to talk about Crystal Palace's Golden Eagle. That's Eberechi Eze. Good morning. This is Game Day Breakfast. It is the former Aston Villa and Gillingham striker Tony Cascarino, who is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer, and we are with you until 10 this morning. Here are some of your headlines today. Touchline interviews with substituted players and camera access to dressing rooms are set to feature in Premier League TV coverage from next season. Manchester United have had an improved bid worth up to £62.5 million for Brian Mbeumo, rejected by Brentford. And after their 5-2 win over Juventus in the Club World Cup, Pep Guardiola said it was quick to talk about the need of managing Rodri's minutes ahead of the new season.
Rodri, can play, cannot play. Of course, it's not for 90 minutes, but, play the last minute 30 minutes, 35, so he's making a step forward the last 3-4 days. Didn't have some, no problems, but some niggles that sometimes has. He's happy that we can add minutes to him.
Yeah, he made his first start, Cass, since September 2024, so September last year in that Juventus victory, and continuing that incredible record of not really losing many games when he plays for Manchester City. It does sort of feel like when you've missed out on such a key player for as long as they have, it's kind of like a new signing, a little bit.
Yeah, it is. And the qualities that he has were so sorely missed by Man City last year. The ability to keep the ball. No one keeps the ball as well as him. You don't win a Ballon d'Or as a holding midfielder for a reason. The reason is because you never give it away. He did that for Spain and he's done it for Man City. This is absolutely, you're saying a new signing, this is like a record-breaking signing coming back because his quality is this there. I think he just makes everything function from the relationship he had with the back four into midfield and his use of the ball to give players like De Bruyne before, whoever technically could get on the ball. He was brilliant at keeping it.
Did you see that game against Juventus?
I saw the highlights. I saw the goals and
very dominant performance.
Yeah, what I would say that was the standout feature of the intensity of their performance. They were very, very quick. I thought City got a bit ponderous last year, and they just couldn't get it. When you got Doco one side and Savinho the other, both are really wingers to go at defenders, and when they do it well, it really can look. They were all clicking, weren't they, on Thursday night? And I particularly thought Ryan Ait-Nouri as well has just slotted in seamlessly in that left wing back role. Do you know what's? Liverpool have sort of, it feels like the end of the era of the two fullbacks because Trent's gone and Kirkes has come in and Andy Robertson probably will be. Unfortunately, I still think he's still got a lot to offer for Liverpool. But you've sort of seen that with City as well. Their wing-backs from Cole Walker going, Ait-Nouri coming in. You had Guardiola who played left-back but probably won't now because of Ait-Nouri and going more central. Sort of the era of the wing-backs, they change. Pep's always changed wide men. If you look at his history of transfers, so many wide men have gone in and out of his football clubs he's managed.
Yeah, okay. Manchester City then through to the last 16, where they're going to take on Al Hilal. And they could meet Chelsea in the semi-finals if both get past, as I say, the relative two knockout stages to get to the last four. But let's talk more transfer talk, shall we? And in particular on Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace, one of the Premier League's most exciting talents who could be on a move this summer. TalkSport understands that Arsenal have added the Crystal Palace star to their list of left-wing targets. He's also being considered by the Gunners' North London rivals Tottenham and is said to have a release clause of around £68 million in his Palace contract. Anthony Costa, who is a Spurs fan, and you might remember a member of the band Blue, was on the Sports Bar this week. And let's just say he's already had enough of Arsenal hijacking Spurs targets.
So Spursy. And then you see people putting Eze in a Spurs shirt, and it's just embarrassing. It's like, boys, come on, man. Like, go and get him. He is a Spurs player through and through. You can tell that. As Darren said, he'll get bums off seats. He's exciting. Yep. He's that. You don't know what he's going to do next. He's a magician on the pitch. He's a great player, and he'll be so good in a Spurs shirt. But if Arsenal get him, oh my God, like wow, it's embarrassing.
We need to remind him, don't we, that Arsenal released him.
Look at that. They didn't want you. They released you. Don't go there, is what Darren Ambrose there is saying.
Many great players have been released.
Of course.
Football clubs,
I know.
And, when we talked about him early in the season, what was the missing link was his goals adding to his playing ability. Because technically, the game, football's easy to him. His touch is fantastic. He glides across the ground wonderfully. He's a very gifted player, Eze. And also, Nat, what I would say, if Arsenal got him, if we're saying Arsenal first, but if they were first in the queue to get him, Martinelli's a very predictable, direct winger. Okay, he wants to be on a run, in a foot race with a defender and trying to get past them, and he does that really well. Eze is more sort of the way he's all technical. He can drift inside, he can keep the ball, and he's a completely different option. Because they're not even they might be in competition for that out on the left position, but Eze's more all about the guile, his footballing ability, his vision. That's Eze. Where Martinelli's more direct. So you've got there two real contradictions of wingers.
Yeah. So,
in my opinion. That's because he's not really a winger, Eze. He drifts inside so often. He added goals to the end of the season. Once he'd done that, he's a superstar.
Just quickly, who do you think he'd be better suited for? Spurs or Tottenham?
I think
Spurs or Tottenham? Spurs or Arsenal?
Well, Spurs, yeah. I think you could make a case for both because obviously Heung-min Son plays that position. Again, that's very different to the way Spurs have played because Son is that direct. He's always trying to go on one-on-ones as well and score lots of goals. I always argued that if Eze gets his goal return up, because at the start of the season, he missed a lot of chances in games, a lot. And that's been the big difference. The end of the season, he was getting goals on a regular basis.
Obviously, he'd be a huge miss for Crystal Palace if one of these clubs do trigger that release clause. If they trigger it, there's nothing really Palace can do.
No, not really. If there's a release clause that it gets met. Yeah, there's not a lot you can do. I'm sure Tottenham fans would want him. I'd want him if I was a Tottenham manager or a fan. I'd say absolutely take Eze. He's a difference maker. Yeah. He glides across the ground. He'll keep the ball for fun. He never gets flustered in a moment. If it's tight, he'll get out of it. He'll get out of the situation. He'll find a way. So, good luck to either of them.
Yeah. One thing I'll quickly say, Anthony Costa's saying it'd be so Spursy if if Arsenal hijack the Eze move. Can I just say, last couple of seasons, we wanted Brennan Johnson, Spurs came in. We wanted Archie Gray, Spurs came in.
Yeah.
So, hello, we've been on the back end of this too.
All clubs.
The gazumping.
All clubs are vultures.
I know.
They all want to if they can get the player in and they can outbid or win the battle of getting a transfer, it's seen as some sort of victory.
Of course.
That's how it's seen.
Of course, indeed. Right, coming up, we are going to be talking a bit of EFL. We're going to go into the back pages of the papers for you, and we'll also next discuss the stifling heat of the Club World Cup over in the States. Could it spoil next summer's World Cup? That's up next on Game Day Breakfast. morning. This is Game Day Breakfast. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me it is the former Millwall striker, Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
In a moment, we are going to be discussing the heat in America that is causing a few issues at this Club World Cup. Lots of cooling breaks having to be taken place. How will that affect next summer's Club World Cup even? We'll, of course, be discussing that in just a moment and bringing you live commentary of the knockout stages of this current Club World Cup. TalkSport will also have full coverage of the Women's European Championships, which start next week. Here's our Uma Gurab with a look ahead to what's coming up then this summer.
The 15th edition of the Women's Euros is heading to the land of chocolate, cheese, fancy watches, and of course some truly beautiful scenery. Yep, Switzerland is hosting the tournament this summer as the Lionesses look to retain that title they won back in England in 2022. And everyone else is going to try and take it off them.
That they will. More on that as we get nearer to that competition. And all eyes also will be on Bratislava tonight as England's under-21s take on Germany in the European Championship final.
Put it into the path of Harvey Elliott in the area! What a finish! Harvey Elliott lashes it home for England! And England's young guns are through to another final. The holders of the Under-21 European Championship will have the chance to retain their trophy. England go through to face Germany in the final on Saturday night.
You know, it can't be an achievement, even though, you know, I'm really proud of the lads just to get to a final. I think, you know, we want to try and win it. We believe that we can. I've got a lot of belief in this squad.
Swung into the middle now, good ball as well, and it's such an easy goal as Nelson Viper scores his first for the Germany Under-21.
To get back-to-back at this level, when there's such high quality throughout Europe, to really take control of the tournament, I think is fantastic. And if they can get one more game over the line, then they're going to be heroes throughout the country.
We're bringing you live commentary of that European Under-21 Championship final. Kickoff is at 8 as we find out if the Young Lions can retain their title. We're also asking for your contribution this morning on the events that you missed for whatever haphazard reason it might well have been. Perhaps it was because, I don't know, you woke up late and missed a flight, or perhaps someone scheduled a family event like a wedding on the day of a huge final that you hoped to go to but you couldn't in the end. We've had a few messages in. I'm quickly going to read this one out. This one says, this is from Steve in Crowborough. I have no idea where Crowborough is, but now I've learnt a new place. I had to miss Madness's original final concert in 1992 because my first wife decided that was the day she wanted to get married. I should have gone to the concert, which would have saved me so much grief, so says Steve. So that's just kind of what we're looking for this morning. Let us know.
It must be love.
Oh, well, it wasn't in that case. Let us know. This is all centering on the fact that we're in full swing of Glastonbury, and Rod Stewart, who is headlining tomorrow, said that he was 50-50 on whether or not he had to cancel through illness, but he will be there, thankfully. Let's talk about the heat at the controversial tournament of the Club World Cup. A lot of chat has been centering on the temperatures, which have reached around 36 degrees during the game between Bayern Munich and Benfica in North Carolina, and a code red severe heat warning in Philadelphia has been issued as well. Now, while the tournament has introduced cooling breaks for players to seek some shade, wearing an ice-cold towel, for example, throwing bottles of water over themselves, there still seems to be a massive concern for the players. In particular, an infuriated Chelsea manager, Enzo Maresca, has expressed how this heat is pushing his players to the limit.
It's almost impossible to make or to train, to make session. Because of the weather, now we are trying just to save energy for the game. This morning session has been very, very, very short. Has been just about tomorrow game, plan for tomorrow, and that's it. No more than that, because as you can see, it's quite difficult to, it's not easy with this condition, with this temperature, but we are going to try to do our best.
And a lot of the managers have been speaking similarly to what Enzo Maresca has said there, Cass. And if you look at Manchester City, for example, in the group stage, their first two games, they had entirely different 11s. Now, that might be because Pep Guardiola wanted to try different teams out, but it might also be his way of thinking, I need to manage these players in a different way.
Yeah.
And you know what it's like to play in the heat, having done so in 1994, certainly with your team.
Well, unfortunately, the injury and the weather conditions in America cost me my tournament, or cost me the group phases with the first 3 games, because we were in Florida and it stormed. We had to go inside, told to come off the training ground. Went into a gym. I went on the Stepmaster and just trained in the gym, done the Stepmaster. Next day, went to training that, pulled my calf. And it was from doing the Stepmaster. And that took 3 weeks.
Which you wouldn't have been doing had you...
That was a week before the tournament, yeah. But the weather was a massive issue. Yeah. You take our opening game, New York against Italy. We're walking around the stadium and Jack's shouting at everyone, get in. He's going, like, get in. It's too hot to stand around before the game. So when we're talking, and he come up to me and said, bearing in mind I was injured, I hadn't got a cap on. And he said, where's your cap? And I went, I haven't got one on, Jack. He went, get one on. And I went, well, I'm not playing. He went, I don't care. You've got to have your cap on your head. He was literally screaming about the weather because it was really hot. And by the way, just a quick one on this one, Nat. Tommy Coyne, after the game, who was the Celtic striker who played for Republic of Ireland, got in because me and Quinny were injured, Noel Quinn. On the plane from from New York to Florida, Tommy Coyne was taken to hospital afterwards because he had dehydration to a severe level. This was like unreal. The dealing with the weather in America is quite tricky.
Oh, I can well imagine. I mean, the dehydration, like you've just pointed out, is a huge factor, which you'd imagine these days, obviously, with all the club science, doctors, etc., those factors will be looked into, which you wouldn't have had in your time.
Well, no, Florida and Mexico. John Aldridge are arguing on the sidelines because trying to get water onto the pitch, they wouldn't allow it. I mean, that wouldn't happen today, thankfully.
Yeah, so in that sense, player welfare has changed and we are now more aware of the needs of players, especially in those sort of hot conditions. I mean, I still find it fascinating. Whenever you talk about Jack Charlton, I sometimes sit here thinking, crikey, he was so ahead of his time in certain ways of thinking.
Well, he experienced Brazil, hadn't he, in 1970?
Yes.
Yeah, was he in that squad? I think he was, but I'm pretty sure he did. But if he didn't, he would have known for Bobby.
Of course, he would have.
But
known.
that South America and the temperatures and having to deal with that was a major obstacle. And in America, for the Republic of Ireland, the way we played, it was a nightmare because we wanted high intensity pressing. We couldn't do that. I remember Steve Staunton playing out on the wing and thinking he was as white as a sheep. The sheep, as Stan, he was suffering from minute 1, and that was like most of our players.
He was named in the squad for the 70 World Cup in Mexico. But like I say, I always think Jack Charlton just knew stuff that, I don't know, feels like he was ahead of his time when it comes to thinking about the players, whereas a lot of managers would have just gone, get out there and train.
Training ground, on the training ground, the lads would just be getting warm. He'd say, that's it, enough, in.
Wow.
He'd literally get us off the training pitch.
Yeah. So when you think ahead to the World Cup, then again, what the other issue you have, not only do you have obviously the extreme heat that you're going to be finding in certain places, but you get the heavy thunderstorms, which sometimes in Florida, for example, which is the one I can compare it to, is they can be short and sweet, but they can be heavy. They can be like with lightning. You'll find, again, in my experience, when you go to theme parks, water parks, they can close them temporarily because of these storms. Again, these are going to have issues. They're going to cause delays in games.
Well, most stadiums are domes in America now, aren't they? They've been rebuilt.
But the one that City played at had no cover.
No cover, yeah. But what I mean, you only have to watch golf in America.
Thursday,
if you're watching golf regularly, that you see it all the time. Rain, I wouldn't say rain, it's thunderstorms are lurking, and they're so spot on in America with their weather forecast. We're saying it'll be here in 20 minutes. Literally turns up. Of course it's an obstacle. The weather is really severe in America. They have typhoon, periods as well. It's just, lightning strikes. Yeah, it can affect. And then the extreme heat, which we've just talked about. Yeah, America really is an issue around, games being okay to... I'm sure there'll be games that will be stopped for a period of time. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
Which is okay, but if it's the final group decider where both, let's say there could be 3 or 4 teams in a group, let's say. Is that how many will be in a group? I can't remember now with the expansion of it. I presume so. Say that all the games matter in a group. And if there's a delay in one game for the weather and the other, I don't know, do they have to delay the other game, or does that game play out and then the other teams will know, well, they've just got a draw, or they've just won, so we know we only need to draw this game to get through?
Well, I would imagine provisions would have been put in place for, this extraordinary weather that they do get. America's not like most countries. Most countries, like here, we don't get the sort of weather that they get where we'd literally all have to come off a golf course or all come in. That's really rare in this country. America, in many different states, is quite common. That's the issue.
Some people might say, should they have done what they did with Qatar and move it to the winter? But then I suppose you might be getting the extreme coldness in certain parts of America too.
Yeah, it's such a huge country, and different climates all over. But yeah, it's a problem. Something that I remember really well. I remember that all the conditions and playing against Mexico at 12 o'clock midday when it was moved forward because earlier in the day it's cooler than it is at 2 in Florida, and it was boiling. Yeah. I mean, I came on in that game and remember thinking, just doing runs up and down the line, you were literally, even though I'd been there 2 or 3 weeks and done some training by the time I got fit, it was a challenge, a big challenge.
Ryan's just messaging about this. He says, with regards to the World Cup, all the games should be played early morning, so a 10 a.m. kickoff, or evening games like they do in Spain around 9 p.m.
But the 9 p.m. TV takes over.
Well, of course. But at 10 a.m., I don't know what players, you've got to get up early, your pre-match would be ridiculous. I get you thinking, Ryan, I get it.
Isn't it funny that when you're a kid, you play 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, it's never an issue when you're a kid. But professional games, obviously arranging it.
There's a slight difference.
There is a slight difference, but all my footballers growing up was always 10, 11 o'clock kickoffs mainly on a Saturday or a Sunday. And then you get to professional, you end up, for obvious logistics of getting people into stadiums, there's a lot more organising around a professional match. And but he's absolutely right. The game, 12 o'clock in Florida is boiling. It's not. It's not cool.
That is the time we are not supposed to go out. Between 12 and 3, you're advised, is the hottest time. So it will be interesting to see how it's all going to play out.
And there's 48 teams, and there's so many football matches going on at the same. There's a huge amount of games to be played. So I can't believe this will. Which is
why they can't just do 10 and 9, because there's so many games to be factored in to a day. Now. Yeah, very much so. Okay, on the way next, we are going to bring you a couple of stories from the papers that we've picked out that we want to highlight. That's next. very good morning to you. This is Game Day Breakfast live on Talk Sport. We are not only on your radio, but we're also available on YouTube and your smart TV if you just so want to watch us for a bit of difference. It is the best football export out of the biggest borough in London, Bromley. That is Tony Cascarino. He is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer, and we're with you until 10 o'clock this morning. We've been asking for you to get in touch this morning as well with regards to the events that you might have missed for whatever reason it is, and maybe it's because you got up late, your alarm didn't go off and it meant that you were late for something like a flight to get you to a big event. Maybe it was because there was an event like a wedding that was scheduled and it meant you missed out on going to, for example, the 1966 World Cup. A few people have been getting in touch about the 66 World Cup. Some have also slightly tinkered with it a little bit. For example, this one says, I missed a very famous and iconic sporting event. I was due to be born on the 30th of July 1966. Yep, the day of the World Cup final. Unfortunately, I was born 3 days late. I've never forgiven my mother. So this text says. I mean, you could have perhaps tried to force your way out, but we won't go into too much detail on that one. With regards to the 66 World Cup again, not so much a disaster, but my nan and granddad got married on the day England won the World Cup. They actually paused the ceremony to put a TV and radio up to watch the game, then carried on with the festivities.
You have to. It's just imagine like today
a
wedding on a final of the World Cup and England were playing. There's no way you're going to get everybody to not wanting to watch it.
Yeah, true. Roger has also been in touch. He says, I was in hospital when England won the World Cup. I had a prang on my motorbike aged 16 years and fractured my femur. Ooh. How were you able to keep across it in some way, Roger? Do let us know. That's what we want to hear from you then this morning. The events you missed because of whatever reasons. Maybe it was injury like Roger. Maybe it was because somebody scheduled an event for that day. I was invited to the Euro final when England, the Lionesses won.
Yeah, but
couldn't go. I was heading off to Ireland. With the ex. And, when you're just like, oh, I'd love to be there. I was thinking, how can I get around it? And I was like, I just can't.
Was that the cause then?
No, it wasn't. But maybe it was the tip of the iceberg. No, I'm joking. But it was just one of those where you think, I could have been there. I've never seen England obviously win any kind of competition in my lifetime, and just to have seen the Lionesses win something, to be at Wembley would have been fantastic. So yeah, I missed out on that one. So keep them coming into us. 81089 is the text number. The WhatsApp is 03717 223344, and you can leave us a voice note as well. Tell us your story. We'd love to hear your voice here on the show. Okay, should we get to the papers?
Yes.
Do you want to pick out your story today?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, it's in the Guardian, and it's by Jacob Steenberg, and it's about Gary O'Neill, and obviously he's been away from the dugout for quite a long time now, hasn't he? Or it feels like a long time, and he's speaking about his time out, and it's really interesting because you start looking at Gary's career, and obviously he was at Bournemouth and he'd lost his job. Then he went as a first team coach at Wolves, and he talks about his Wolves experience. I'm sorry. The one I missed out on was that when he was at Bournemouth and he got the job from Scotty Parker, and his first he got it after a 9-0 defeat by Liverpool.
Yes.
And, Scotty Parker had done that interview, the players ain't good enough.
Scathing,
so then he gets thrown in the deep end when he's first team coach at Bournemouth, Gary O'Neill. And it's an interesting journey from there, and then how he managed that sort of, because they done really well, didn't they, Bournemouth? They got out of trouble and looked like Scotty Parker had sort of egg on his face because of what he'd said in an interview about the players not being good enough. Then he goes to Wolves and he talks about all the problems with Wolves. And it just shows you the management journey of how hard it is, Nat. And you question yourself so much. The idea, he talks about philosophy, which is a word he says I hate now because, you just have to be very adaptable, which you do. That is the big thing in football, that you have to adapt to scenarios and situations that confront you.
So was he guilty of having what he thought was a philosophy?
Yes, he said I tried to do it, but he said also he's working with players, and luckily he had someone like Neto there, and he had Cunha, and how gifted they were, and then they could get goals. There was no doubt Wolves could get goals, but ultimately what cost him his job, and he talks about this, is that Wolves had conceded 20 times from set pieces by the time O'Neill went. They had already sacked their set-piece coach, Jack Wilson. Would you remember that happened? After they lost 5-3 at Brentford. Right. So
That wasn't
your
a
club
netball game, yeah.
Okay, so you've lost, and then you look at who wasn't in the lineup. You had Craig Dawson injured, and they'd sold Max Kilman, and you sort of think sometimes you can't take that at certain clubs where you lose two, pivotal centre halves who do good,
and
solid
they've lost
players.
Nathan Collins the season before.
And before that. So you're losing players, and yet you're spinning plates as a manager. And of course, results will determine your future. And they just conceded so many goals from set pieces, 20. By the time he left the football club that season, so it was a tough year for him. But he's very positive and optimistic about.
He wants to get back into it.
Well, of course he does. Yeah, of course he does. He's got the drug of football, but he's done the norm. You hear this so often with managers. They go and watch the Wigan Warriors, or they go and they go to
learn off other sports
to try and find different philosophy. I'll say philosophy because he hates the word, but different ideas in football.
But I think that's great. I think that's
you want to
brilliant.
learn. But one thing I would always say, Nat, the very best, and I always think, is that ability to be adaptable to situations. Don't get your head stuck in the mud where this is the way I want to play and it's only this way. You have to look at what you've got and how you can utilise the players you've got.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. But
a good interview.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And he's had that time out to really rethink about everything. And where did it go wrong? What can I put right next time I get into a job? And I do think learning from other sports is always a good idea as well, because there might just be something you just weren't aware of. And I'm not, obviously, you can't bring in how to score a try in football, but you can just learn about dynamics of a sport and adapt it to your own. And I actually remember doing a show on TalkSport many, many years ago. I say many years, I'm not that old. And actually it was Gordon Strachan, it was Ian Holloway, and it was a really, really nice chat. We talked about the art of management, if you like. And Eddie Jones, the England head coach at that time, rang in and wanted the show. He wanted to hear it all in one, so he could listen back to it, because he just found it fascinating hearing from two managers in football.
In different sports,
and how they were doing their careers at that point. And so
open-minded is
even
the
the
word.
most experienced will be looking always for change and how they can be better. I'm going to dip into the Daily Telegraph and a piece that Luke Edwards has done, an interview with Beth Mead. This is ahead of the Euros, and if you're watching on our streaming services or on YouTube, you can see that the headline is "Lionesses being judged like men is a good thing," and that's really the bit that I wanted to pick out. But it's a really, really nice piece by Luke Edwards, talking about sort of the personal grief that she's gone through, where she lost her mother, she had a terminal illness, and actually how Serena Wiegman, the England head coach, had lost her sister. So they had this sort of mutual understanding of going through those personal issues. She also suffered a serious ACL injury, which ruled her out of international duty for a year as well. And again, going through that process of getting yourself back fit was difficult. But it's a really lovely piece ahead of this European Championships. But like I say, the bit where she talks about the Lionesses being judged like men is a good thing. And this, of course, is not about playing football. I think most people are aware they're two different levels of football. They're playing the same game, but you shouldn't compare them as the same. But what she's saying is, I think that she likes the fact that we can judge them the same that you might judge the men's team now. We're not pandering to the women's team. We're not saying, oh, they were unlucky. It's more like, no, they didn't play well. So they didn't deserve anything out of that.
And you get called out.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what she's saying, is that she appreciates that we have to be assessed like the men's team. Because if we want to go on and have a league and an international team that is successful, then you have to sort of be treated in that way as well.
Well, if you're getting pats on the back and everyone praising you, there's going to be times you're going to be made a scapegoat and be criticised. You have to accept it both ways.
Yeah.
That's part of sport.
Exactly. And that is what she says. That's what she alludes to. We have to deal with it and cope with it, she says. And that is also about your mental side, or how you build that up.
Yeah.
Because like you say, that if you want a league and clubs and players and international teams to do well, they have to be able to deal with the criticism as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's great that Beth Mead is saying that ahead of this European Championships, which we're bringing you live on TalkSport.
Yes.
We'll see if the Lionesses can retain their title in Switzerland. Okay, on the way next, we will continue to talk about the Club World Cup and that heat. We're going to be joined by our US sports correspondent, Brian T. Smith, next. This is Game Day Breakfast. It is the former Chelsea and Republic of Ireland striker, Tony Cascarino, who is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer. We're with you until 10, and then we are switching our coverage to the Lions as they take on the Western Force in their first game on Australian soil ahead of their test series with the Wallabies. Kickoff for that one is at 11. Roger was in touch earlier on about the femur in breaking his femur, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That's
the
what
femur,
yeah. Which meant that he missed the 66 World Cup as a result. And I was like, well, did you have a radio? How did you keep across it? He's been in touch again. The ward I was in had a long room with 8 beds either side. The staff set up a television at the end of the room for us to watch the game. My leg was in traction, and it was so difficult to twist around to see the screen, but I did listen to the famous commentary when England won. I wanted to jump for joy, but of course I couldn't. Roger, thank you for enlightening us on that one. And Paul and Whitby, I'm just going to say something. You've mentioned he says, tell Cass there are 32 teams, not 48 at the World Cup, but that's not true. It is 48. They've expanded it.
No, that's what I thought.
Yes, no, I just wanted Paul to know that they have expanded it. That's why there's some more
I'm right
teams.
Oh, right for once.
Just for once. All right. Speaking of the World Cup, that is taking place in the States as well as Canada and Mexico. And right now, the Club World Cup is taking place in America. And we've already spoken about the oppressive heat that players are experiencing. And we're going to have to get used to it then with the 2026 World Cup. While many are struggling with the heat, the Manchester City gaffer, Pep Guardiola, managed to find a moment of humour in it all.
But the hot is it's obviously, so we're gonna change it, right? So it's better to play like the last stadium like we played. That was fantastic, but I think all the teams have to handle it. So it's what it is for the new World Cup, next World Cup. The people know it already. But yeah, we have to be ready to suffer. But it's fine. Hopefully we can do a good game and the people can come. Only I can advise to the people: bring a lot of water, hats, towels in the necks. So because I think will be tough.
Yeah, I think he's right. Wet towels is particularly what I think he's referring to. Fans, everyone. I've got a little portable fan now as well. Anything to cool you down, especially the fans that have misting settings. They're really useful. It's going to be hot, I think. That is fair to say. We have TalkSport's US sports correspondent Brian T. Smith joining us to give us a better insight on how things are heating up then in this Club World Cup and those real concerns over players' safety as well. Brian, good morning. How are you?
Hi, Brian.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, really well. Thank you. So talk to us about this heat and what you've been hearing about how it's really having an impact on everything.
Yeah, I was just in New York City this week for the NBA draft for TalkSport and TalkSport.com. It's brutal. Like there's no way around it. It's hot in London right now, but it just doesn't compare. And you have AC in America, which we really don't do that much in England. But when you're on the pitch, if you're a fan, if you're walking around a city, and it's not just been New York, it's been Philadelphia, across America. I do think that, as much as we're talking about the conditions and the heat right now for the Club World Cup, it's really going to come into play next year for the actual World Cup. And I mean, just get ready to hear about the training and the preparation and the player exhaustion and the fans and all these things, because it's not like the climate is going to change in a year and the matches are about at the same time. You'll be bouncing all over America. So the whole thing for the Club World Cup is, for all the issues they've had, for the attendance, for the lack of awareness, all these things. The matches are becoming pretty good, right? I mean, the matchups, if you have PSG versus Inter Miami, like that's worth watching. That's a cool match. Chelsea's still in it, Real Madrid on and on. But if it's this hot now, just imagine it in a year. This really does favor the Latin American teams. And if I'm Thomas Tuchel, I'm doing everything I can right now to figure out how can I get the best out of England when we're playing in, we're going to use Fahrenheit, we're playing in 95-degree heat. It is absolutely sweltering, and it really can affect you on the pitch.
I was saying earlier, Brian, 94 World Cup, we played in Florida at 12 o'clock midday, and the game was scheduled for that time. It was earlier, but it was like 115 degrees at the time of day. And I remember thinking, it's nearly impossible for European teams, especially Ireland, and the way we played. We had a very much a pressing game, which was always based on a fast football, pressing, getting close, making it difficult. We paid a heavy price for that in America.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of my 2 years over here reading. I'm the American who spends a lot of their time reading about the history of English football, and you know your stuff. Obviously, you start looking at the history of the World Cup and how climates have affected England, and it is huge. So we're seeing this play out right now. It doesn't help if you're a fan in the Club World Cup specifically, and you want to travel, unless you are from Brazil or Latin America and you are used to this, that you want to travel for your team. It's going to be different next year for the World Cup. I mean, that will bring people from all over the world. But this hasn't happened. This hasn't helped Gianni's master plan to turn the Club World Cup into this amazing spectacle. I did think it was very interesting being in New York. It was well promoted and advertised. I saw ads on buses and in the airport and on televisions, and I did see fans walking on the streets wearing their jerseys, wearing their shirts, but there's no buzz for it. And what people are not talking about, having just been in America, is it would be like being in England and never seeing the Premier League on on TV. That's what it's like in America. You never see the Club World Cup unless it's an actual match. You don't see highlights. ESPN is the be all end all for better or for worse in America. You can't turn it. That's where you watch your sports TV. There is no Club World Cup on ESPN, which shows the lack of overall awareness for the Club World Cup in America right now.
Wow. That's certainly not ideal for Gianni Infantino, certainly. What about ticket prices? Has that been an issue?
I think everything has been an issue. What I don't understand is if you're going to do this and you're trying to make it bigger and better, and I applaud that, and I love any time you have teams from all over the world come together and play, even if you squeeze it in and players are exhausted. But if you're going to do this, don't you want to have the atmosphere, the venues, the whole thing match up? The fact that they've tried to squeeze all this into NFL, American football stadiums, why not have a lot of these opening matches in MLS stadiums that are more football specific, soccer specific? That's been a huge miss. And to me, that's just Gianni's ego. There's no way around it.
No.
You know, he wants it to be so big. They should have had all the group stages in MLS stadiums. They would have been packed. It would have looked really good. And then for the knockouts, go to the NFL stadiums. So if you're talking about ticket prices, if you're talking about attendance, how it looks on television, how it looks on social media, that would have been a really easy fix for the Club World Cup, but there's just too much ego involved.
Brian, I'd be optimistic, though, that there'll be far bigger crowds and the games now we're in the knockout stages. That I do believe. I mean, some great matchups. You've got Benfica, Chelsea tonight, you know, PSG versus Inter Miami and many others games that are coming. I think that, and also the South Americans were really big into their support for the game in Central America.
Yeah, so this is where it should get fun, and this is where we can be positive about the Club World Cup. This is what we've been waiting for. So you mentioned it, and that's exactly it. The fact that you still have Chelsea, you have Inter Miami with Messi, which everybody in the world knows. Even if you're in America and you're in a small town and you're in a state that's not a football, soccer mad state, you probably know Messi's name. I mean, that, you know, there's a reason they found a way to get them into the Club World Cup. This is where it should get interesting and should be fun. And if you're in England and it's on, if you're in London, you're going to be finding a way to watch that match, stream it, whatever you're going to do. This is where the Club World Cup is worth watching, worth following, because there's nothing really else going on in the sports world right now, except for Wimbledon is about to start and F1. And so these are the matches that can elevate the Club World Cup. I still think overall, though, to everyone, it's been pretty clear that this has just been really squeezed in. And it feels like it's more of a logistical exercise for the 2026 World Cup than actually getting the best clubs in the world. And everybody wants to be there and fans are going to crisscross the globe. I think that part of it has not been a success, unfortunately.
I mean, there are some good stories that have emerged from this in the sense of us, I think, learning about clubs we might not have known about. You know, you look at some of the African teams, the Mamelodi Sundowns, for example, Wydad Casablanca, just teams that we probably have never been on our radar. And the fact that Al Hilal from Saudi Arabia have made it through as well, again, is a story in itself. But I want to move on very quickly from the Club World Cup and just to talk about what's happening with Crystal Palace, because there was the issue with John Textor and his ownership and the fact he had multiple ownerships of clubs, and that could be an issue for Palace with playing in Europe next season. It seems as though that's now coming to an end and that he's selling his stake in Crystal Palace to the New York Jets owner Woody Johnson. What do we know about Woody Johnson and his reputation?
A great name.
Now we're getting into the good stuff, right? This is the fun stuff on Saturday morning. Here's the thing: if you're a Crystal Palace fan, you have to be praying that Woody Johnson is a better Premier League owner than he ever was an NFL owner. There's no way around it. Woody Johnson has been one of the worst. I mean, I'm here for facts, right?
Yeah, tell us.
Woody Johnson has been one of the worst owners in the NFL for the last 10 plus years.
Why?
And now he's too hands-on and he doesn't know what he's doing. And that's usually a problem when you're a billionaire. Now he will spend. Now let's be positive. He will spend. So he went out and got Aaron Rodgers a couple of years ago, but that was also a failure, and that didn't work out. And he got Aaron Rodgers at the wrong time. In terms of backing his coaches, he hasn't done that. He hasn't backed his manager. Robert Saleh was at the time the best hire he could make, and within a year plus, Robert Saleh was pushed out the door. So and there's always been questions for Woody Johnson with his kids and his family, and is he a billionaire who kind of lets his kids run things? There have been stories across the board, which also doesn't work well in Premier League. So the best thing Woody Johnson can do is spend the money, step back, hire the right people, and let the experts run your Premier League club. You have to hope that happens, but he did not do that with the New York Jets.
No. So he's worse than John Textor, then, in your opinion.
And Lyon would not agree. Certainly.
And this is what's so tough, right? Because, going with the Club World Cup, I mean, it's Man City, it's Chelsea, it's Liverpool. Like, there's no room for failure or someone who's not an expert. You're going against the best of the best. Woody Johnson needs to spend his billions, make some more money. He can tell all his friends that he owns a Premier League team, and then just step back and let the experts do the job.
The problem is, though, Brian, if you're buying a 43% stake in a club for a lot of money, I don't think you're going to want to sit back, really. You're going to want to have some say.
That's exactly it, and that's where the problems usually come in, right?
Yeah. Well, what was it, Jim Radcliffe? What is he? 25% at Man United. I think he's having quite a big say with 25%.
Yes, that's slightly different. But I hear what you're saying. It's all going to be interesting how it all plays out, and with the World Cup to come next year as well. Brian, thank you.
Cheers, Brian. Bye-bye.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Have a good day.
Great to chat to you this morning. That is our Euros correspondent, Brian
Palace
Tismith.
fans up.
I know, it's not what they want to be hearing. Not
the worst owner in
NFL owner. Oh my gosh. Yes. Oliver Glasner might be thinking, am I going to stick around? Of course you'll stick around, in the hope that Woody Johnson doesn't get involved in those footballing matters. Whereas Sir Jim Ratcliffe, that was the reason that he was buying into the club, that he could have a say on those football, the operations of the football club, certainly. Okay, on the way next, we're going to give you another chance to win Oasis tickets. Remember, it's sold out, but you have a chance with us to be at the Manchester gig next month, and we'll also bring you the latest news from the EFL. Good morning. This is Game Day Breakfast. We're live on your radio, YouTube and smart TV. It is the former Marseille Nancy striker, Tony Cascarino, who is with me, Natalie Sawyer. And how about this? It's not long until Oasis are back. And you have the chance to win a pair of tickets for their Manchester concert on July 19th. Concert gig, let's call it that. Oasis Live 25 is sold out, but we here at TalkSport can get you in. And that's not all, because alongside those tickets, we're going to put you up for a night in a hotel, give you $5,000 as well, completely tax-free. So listen up on how you can enter.
Alright, kid, you have to be over 18 to enter in the UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win a pair of tickets to the most electrifying rock and roll reunion of the century, a hotel stay and $5,000 spending money, all you got to do is text the word Oasis to 83338 by Monday the 7th of July at 11 p.m. and you'll be entered into the draw to go supersonic this summer. Sorted. Right, here's all the legal stuff. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You've got to have the bill payer's permission or post your name and number to Oasis Prize Draw, PO Box 3190, Colchester, CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of July. This is a TalkSport limited promotion run on TalkSport, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com.
And we wish you the best of luck for that. OK, it's time for us to talk EFL now. A few interesting stories during the rounds. As you can imagine, I suppose from next week, teams will be coming back. In fact, some might already come back.
Some will be back now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Getting their pre-season underway, and there are a few managerial issues to discuss. Pleased to say, joining us this morning, it is our EFL expert, Adrian Clark. Adrian, how are you?
Good morning, Natalie. Morning, Tony. Yeah, all good, all good. I'm going to Oasis, so I'm very excited about that. I was one of the lucky ones that managed to get to the front of that queue, which was a nightmare.
Did you have to wait a long time on the phone or whatever?
Oh, it was awful. Yeah, it was. I lost tickets. I waited. Well, no, I probably waited an hour. Lost tickets about 10 times, but kept going and kept going, and then eventually a couple stayed in my whatever it is.
As a player, you was a bit tenacious, weren't you? You kept going, eh? Never threw in the towel.
He's a pest. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Exactly. My friend in need is a pest.
Look, well, this week, of course, it was we had all the EFL fixtures released. We're not going to dwell on it too much because, as we said last time with the Premier League, everyone plays each other twice. We know the basics. But Mark Ashton joined White and Jordan this week to discuss Ipswich. He is the CEO, I believe, about the need for Ipswich to get back up. Let's hear from him first before we talk more about it.
No, I think it's what we expected. I think it's really tough. Even the clubs, Leicester and Southampton, they were on parachute payments. They'd been in the Premier League recently, found it really tough and ultimately couldn't stay in there. For a club like us that have been out for so long, the gap's even bigger. So it's tough, but it's the biggest and best league in the world for a reason, and we've got to find a way around that. We want to get back to the Premier League as quickly as we can, and we want to try and stay there. But you can't underestimate the Championship. This league is tough.
Yeah,
it is certainly tough. But they did well the last time they were in it, Adrian. But they have lost a few players this summer, notably Liam Delap. They'll be happy that they kept hold of Kieran McKenna. Do you see them making an immediate return?
Well, Luton are the warning, aren't they? So Luton would have, this time last year, been thinking of that immediate return. And look where they are. They've got Wimbledon, I think, on the opening day in League One. So, you can never guarantee anything. But I do think that Ipswich were fairly prudent in their purchases last year. They basically bought some of the Championship's best young talent. And at the time, so many people were saying it looks like they're buying, building a team for next year's Championship. So they really should be there or thereabouts. I think this time around it's they were great in the Championship before, played some fantastic football, were amazing at home. But the big thing is that they come into this season off of a campaign where they hardly won at home at all. Yeah. They got spanked most weeks. So how much has that damaged their confidence and fluency? But yeah, cracking opening day game actually at Birmingham. So yeah, that's going to be a really interesting test for them.
Yeah, Birmingham promoted as they were from League One and runaway League One winners. It was funny, I saw when the fixtures were announced, there was someone on social media who said, Birmingham, newly promoted Birmingham, taking on relegated Ipswich. Yeah, really random as a fixture for that one to kick off the season. Hey-ho, who are we to suggest anything different? Then we've got Southampton-Wrexham as well. Yeah. That's on the Saturday. That's going to be live on TalkSport. Yeah, 12:30. Will Still in charge of Southampton, of course. I mean, have you learnt much about Will Still?
No, I know that he's quite a versatile coach. Like, he's not a coach that's necessarily married to one system. You know, it's not going to always be 3 at the back or 4 at the back and whatnot. I think he can mix and match. He'll be high energy, pressing. That you know, he'll look to get the ball if he can. I think Will Still, but you know, he seems like a really good guy. Excellent track record. I mean, in France, his teams were good to watch and successful by and large. He was managing teams that were underdogs by and large.
Well,
so this is different for him in a way, isn't it, Tone? Because Southampton are expected to be in the top 2 or 3, aren't they? So, you know, that'd be a new challenge for him.
Well, if you take his first job, which was Reims in France, that is a tiny club. You know, to get them to the top flight and do well was extraordinary. Lens is a completely different kettle of fish. It's a big club, expected to be more often than not in the top 6 in French football. He done well there as well. So I think Southampton fans will be pleasantly surprised, because me and Nat have chatted about this quite a lot, about being adaptable as a manager, which he certainly has shown. So hopefully it's a way forward for Southampton.
Yeah, and they just needed fresh energy, didn't they? I think bringing in Dyche was obviously a mistake. Like, I personally probably would have just stuck with Russell Martin, and they wouldn't have done any worse, would they? But it did need an injection of fresh energy, I think, and Still comes with a big reputation. I think he'll be a good manager as well. He's very young, isn't he?
Yeah.
Relatable to the players. So, yeah, and that's an interesting first game, isn't it? That you guys have got covered. Home to Wrexham. I mean, just a few years ago, Southampton, established Premier League team, Wrexham, National League, stuck there for donkey's years. How quickly things change. And Wrexham, by the way, and everyone will say, oh, they've got loads of money, you know, with the rich ownership and stuff. But I think it's a remarkable achievement from Phil Parkinson. I really do. I didn't expect
quite a redemption story, really, for him.
Yeah, because he did brilliantly with Bradford, didn't he? He took them to the final. The
Bolton, Sunderland, as well.
Yeah, he was on there, wasn't he, on that documentary? So he's done an amazing job, and they've done it playing a sort of a different brand of football, more of an old-fashioned style, and it's been really effective.
Yeah. A quick word on Leicester, who will begin the campaign at home to Sheffield Wednesday. We don't yet know who will be in charge. Ruud van Nistelrooy left yesterday. That was the decision.
Is that the two-problem club derby?
Very much so at this state of the game. Sean Dyche has been linked with perhaps taking over. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, look, if Leicester City can persuade Sean Dyche to take over, I think that would be the perfect appointment. I really do. I think that he is probably the best available manager for that kind of job. So, they should go all out for him. Obviously, there are financial issues. They might have a points deduction. But I do think if anyone can galvanise a dressing room, and try and play catch-up, it might be him. Look, it's a club that's been in a bit of disarray. It needs strong leadership. It needs a clear identity. They didn't get that under Ruud van Nistelrooy at all. And I think that Sean Dyche ticks those boxes. I really do. So, hopefully, from Leicester's point of view, they'll be able to persuade somebody of his quality and maybe him to take that job. Because, look, they're still a huge club at that level and really should be there or thereabouts at the top end. So, I think he'll be interested, because I believe his family aren't too far away. I think he's Northampton, isn't he, Sean Dyche? I think that's where he's based.
Right.
So it would be quite a good gig for him, I think, too.
Okay, brilliant. Adrian, as always, thank you for being with us this morning.
Cheers, Aid.
Great to get your thoughts on some of the stories then from the EFL. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to look ahead to Chelsea's last 16 game against Benfica at the Club World Cup. We'll assess Brentford's new manager, and we'll next discuss Lyon's relegation to the second division in France and what that could mean for their Europa League hopes.
Really exciting, you know, for the group that's going to go out there.
And the draw for Wimbledon has been made. Jack Draper will take on Sebastian Baez. He's also in the same half of the draw as Novak Djokovic.
I wish they could do a redraw because he's got a very tough draw. And if he gets through his first round, then it's Marin Cilic in the second round. We know what he's capable of, albeit he's 36 years of age. Bublik in the third round. And Bublik, who beat Draper at the French Open, he won that big title in Halle a couple of weeks ago. So Bublik potentially awaits Draper in the third round. So it's actually a pretty tough draw for Draper.
Meanwhile, Emma Raducanu will take on British teenage wildcard Mimi Zhu. There's more at talksport.com.
Good morning, this is Game Day Breakfast. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me is a man who started his career in non-league at Crockenhill. It is Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
We're going to be looking ahead to Chelsea's Club World Cup round of 16 game with Benfica later on, and we'll discuss Keith Andrews' appointment at Brentford. But shortly, we'll talk about Lyon after they were relegated to Ligue 2. But first, starting next week, TalkSport will have full coverage of the Women's European Championship. Here's our correspondent Uma Gurab with a look ahead to what's coming up.
The 15th edition of the Women's Euros is heading to the land of chocolate, cheese, fancy watches and, of course, some truly beautiful scenery. Yep, Switzerland is hosting the tournament this summer as the Lionesses look to retain that title they won back in England in 2022. And everyone else is going to try and take it off them.
Indeed, they will. And with the Austrian Grand Prix getting underway tomorrow, here is Tom Clayton with everything you need to know ahead of the race weekend at the Red Bull Ring.
Well, it's the return of the Austrian Grand Prix this weekend, and the hills are alive with the sound of V6 turbo hybrid monsters once again. This time last year, Max Verstappen and Lando Norris came together, handing the win to George Russell. Now, Russell also won last time out in Canada, but he's not 100% sure he's going to be able to replicate that this weekend. This weekend seems to be all about the McLaren pair of Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. Can they get back to winning ways after their controversial crash in Canada? It's lights out on Sunday at 2 o'clock.
Tom, thank you very much, and we'll have updates for you on TalkSport throughout that Austrian Grand Prix. Now, let's centre on a massive story from France this week, which you might have missed, and it surrounds Lyon, a famous name from French football, who've been relegated to the second division because of financial issues. They are one of France's most decorated clubs, with 7 league titles and 5 Coupe de France trophies as well, but are now staring at the second division for the first time since 1989. A lot of the blame has been aimed at John Textor, Lyon's American owner, who recently sold his 43% stake in Crystal Palace to meet with UEFA rules. French football expert Julien Laurent was on TalkSport earlier this week, and he didn't hold back on Textor's role in Lyon's collapse.
John Textor happened. And I mean, I don't know how Crystal Palace fans feel about him, but he almost cost them a place in the Europa League next season. But Lyon fans want him out of their club because since he took over, Jean-Michel Aulas, who is the historical owner and president of that club, who did so many great things between 1987 and 2019 when he sold the club to John Textor. Lyon were a powerhouse, not just in French football, but in European football as well, in Champions League. But since John Textor arrived and took over that club, it's been an absolute disgrace the way he ran that club to the ground, really, because to the point that being relegated now in the second division because your debts are so high and you can't actually offer a proper plan.
There are Julien Laurent then scathing of John Textor and how he has run Lyon. For more on this, we are joined by L'Equipe journalist Eric Bilderman. Eric, good morning. How are you?
Hi, Eric.
Good morning to you. Good morning.
Always great to have you on, Eric. Thank you for being with us this morning. You might have heard what Julien Laurent had to say then about John Textor. I mean, it just sounds like it's just awful management from the top at the club.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, the point is that the debt is now reaching to £425 million for the club. I can say sometimes if we look at Man United that they are also having a huge debt, historically speaking. But the point is that if the players are still paid, the club has to make redundant about 100 employees. The club also doesn't pay regularly the companies working with them. And altogether, that's the financial point behind that. There is a big problem is that John Textor came to the French football authorities to show what could be the budget, the turnover for next season. And it's just a legation money. We are going to sell players from Botafogo, our sister club, and we will bring money. We are going to sell Crystal Palace through Eagles and bring this money. We are going to make just money that it's not in the bank of Olympique Lyonnais. So how can you, years after years, say you pretend to have money, but the money never comes?
Yeah. Eric, I want to ask you a question because I'm not sure if it's the answer, but if I remember, Jean-Michel Aulas, who was during the most successful period of Lyon, the owner of the football club, and when PSG got lots of money coming to PSG and Monaco when they had a period of big spending, he pulled back, and I'm pretty sure I remember him talking about we mustn't try and compete with these because we don't have the financial power and the muscle to go in against these clubs that have huge financial backing, and he was very prudent. That seems to be the complete opposite of today. Is that right, Eric?
What is right in what you say is that Jean-Michel Aulas is a builder. When he took the club and made the club coming to Premier League after 1989, he built his own stadium. This is unique in the French football to see a club having to build their own stadium, to be the owner of their own stadium. He built also a strong linked women football team, 8-time winning the Champions League. He built a basketball arena. Everything was about building something strong. So when you spend your money there, you can't spend your money to be a new Monaco or a new Paris Saint-Germain, buying the Neymars, buying the Messis, or keeping the Mbappe in your side. That's obvious.
Yeah. Eric, a quick question. Going back to myself, 1994, I joined Marseille. We'd been relegated, but we played European football in Ligue 2. So we played. Do you think that Lyon will have the same privilege of playing European football?
That's a very good question because, to me, why, if you are relegated, you can't play in Europe? It seems now that UEFA doesn't want Lyon to play in Europe if they do get relegated due to financial problem. First of all, they have signed a deal, Lyon plus UEFA, that Lyon is sentenced to pay £10 million as a fine to UEFA, plus £30 million fine, allegedly, if they don't comply with the financial rules. So it's double penalty for Lyon. If you get relegated, you don't play in Europe, but whatever happens, you need to pay millions, and Europe brings millions to a club. So if you want to kill a club who is very badly injured, UEFA is having the last shot.
Yeah.
And what does it mean also for the French league? Who replaces them in the top league?
Reims, who lost in the playoff against Metz, will be the team to be back in the French Premier League. But before that, we do expect Lyon to bring some fresh money. Why so? Because John Textor is under the power of ARES, and a hedge fund of USA, who is owning the club by John Textor, because John Textor took £400 million from ARES to be the chairman of this club. But behind that, he needs to bring the money back to IRS, and IRS is now putting a huge pressure and will bring some fresh money. It's obvious. So we do believe they will stay in the French Premier League, Lyon.
Okay, so as long as they can show they've got the finances, then they should win an appeal, which we expect to happen.
Yeah, we do believe it so.
Okay. Eric, one final brief question is. This is quite embarrassing for French football, isn't it? But we've seen this with Bordeaux, and now we've seen this with Lyon. And I'm with you. I don't get UEFA's stance on this, where they're saying we'll punish you and we'll fine you, but you can't play European football and bring in the money to sort of get over these issues.
Yeah, you know, French football is quite strong in terms of not willing the club to have huge deficit. Bordeaux from second division was relegated to the amateur league, fourth division. Lyon is under trouble, and we have so many examples like Sedan. Sedan, you don't know, but Sedan.
I played against them, Eric.
Oh, wonderful! Yeah, in the French FA Cup.
Yeah.
So Sedan is nowhere now.
Yeah.
Strasbourg for a couple of years was also relegated to the amateur league. So this is something we know, but because compared to England, we don't have the same TV rights. We don't have the same financial power behind. So when a club is in trouble, he can't say, okay, no problem, I will get huge money from TV rights, or if I do finish, let's say 8th in the French league, I will get the money that an English Premier League club will have. And we have had last couple of seasons a complete collapse of the TV rights. The TV rights at the moment is maybe around 100 or 200 million pound per year, which is absolutely nothing. French league was expecting 1 billion.
Wow.
So the clubs have made their budget about, okay, we are going to have a side of 1 billion, but they will have a side of 100.
Wow, that is quite a difference.
10%. 10% of the money.
Eric, it's always brilliant to get you on. You're very informative. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Eric.
Pleasure. My pleasure, my friends.
Yeah,
that's Eric Bilderman from L'Equipe, keeping us up to date then. What's happening? I mean, they're so quick to act in France.
I remember getting suspended, and I went there on an appeal thinking I got in front of the commission. They gave me another game, and I thought I was going there to get off of a game. They gave me another game because
they took one look at you and thought, no,
I turned up there, and I was expecting and thinking, if you go along and you state your case, what happened in the game I got sent off in, and I went expecting to get it, and they went, no, you get another game because you've come to the appeal. So increase the, which happens, it does happen.
Well, we have it with frivolous appeals, don't we? But
I remember I was
all honest.
I was thinking, that's not very nice, is it?
I tell you what, there was something about you that day. They just looked at you and thought, he's a wrong un.
I thought I looked too confident I was going to get a game less.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's what it was.
But hey, they really do go after their clubs. If they don't handle their finances right, French football is, and like I said, devastating to what they do to the club. Absolutely. The TV deal was massive. When they lost it, it was a massive problem for French football.
Yeah, but as Eric was suggesting there could be light at the end of the tunnel for Lyon. And
hopefully,
in the sense of there could be that financial investment, which will hopefully then they can show to the French leagues that all is above board and they'll be reinstated. We'll keep you posted on all of that, as we always do here on TalkSport. Up next, we'll get more of your scheduling disasters and bring you the latest latest odds from Coral. Very good morning to you. This is Game Day Breakfast here on Talk Sport. It is Tony Cascarino, the former hairdresser turned professional footballer, who is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer, and we're with you until 10 this morning. We've been asking for you to get in touch this morning as well on the events that you had to miss due to scheduling disasters, or maybe it was illness and it was a big thing that you were so looking forward to and in the end you couldn't make it. It all centres on the fact that Sir Rod Stewart, who's going to be headlining at Glastonbury this weekend, has said that he was on the verge of cancelling due to illness, but he's going to be there. He's going to be performing a 90-minute set as well.
Fair play to him. What, he's 80,
he's got a lot of songs, so I'm not
yeah.
Yes, I know. He's doing really, really well.
Yeah.
And so that's what we've been asking for from you this morning. And a lot of you have been getting in touch. Now, this one is from Ross in Telford. And it's actually, a good story in the sense of, I presume you're fine and well now, Ross, but a bit of a worry as to why he ended up missing something. He said, in 2019, I had a cruise booked, 2 nights in Dubai, then sailed to Sri Lanka. Sounds lovely.
Been there, loved Sri Lanka. Yeah.
It's not about you. No. A week before, I visited a cardiologist who simply said, if you don't stay in this hospital now, you will die within a week.
Oh.
I know. You probably guessed that I stayed, he says. My aortic valve had stopped working and was replaced. An astounding operation, only 30 minutes, wide awake, with, oh my goodness, they're all coming through the veins from his thigh. Oh my goodness, yes. Wide awake?
So said, did he know he had a problem? Is it?
Well, I'm guessing not to that extent, obviously, but had to visit a cardiologist, and there must have been a reason to do that. He does say the travel insurance paid out with no quibbles, by the way. But wow, what a thing to miss!
Oh, it's a great ending, but it's
I know, crikey.
Oh yeah, scary.
This is also from Wolfie Pete, who does like to get in touch. Thank you, Wolfie Pete from Southport. He says, but for my niece's wedding, Verity, I would have been to every Wolves Premier League game in 2003. Bolton away was my only no-show. Oh, that's a shame, because it would have been nice to tick them all off. So keep them coming into us, because we would love to hear from you this morning on the stories that that you missed an event for some reason, whether it is a wedding or maybe an illness, but try and keep it lighthearted. The funnier the better as well. Maybe you overslept and it meant that you missed your train, your plane, whatever it was, etc, etc. 81089 is the text number. The WhatsApp is 03717 223344. That's when you can also leave us a voice note. Cass, I know you want to pick up on a story.
Yeah. Loyalty is sometimes questioned in the game.
Yeah.
What about this from Seamus Coleman? Coleman signs deal for his 17th season at the club.
17.
Wow. 2009 he signed for Everton, and he's doing his 17th season. What a professional, eh? Seamus Coleman. I've bumped into Seamus on the odd occasion. Never really chatted to him, but an amazing servant for Ireland and Everton, and he says, I love Everton, so to continue playing for the special club, this means everything to me and my family. I'm 36 years old, and he's an Everton. He sounds like an Everton fan as well. An Evertonian. And I think, we all question loyalty by certain, sportsmen in the game and whatever, and Seamus is the ultimate pro. Absolutely been a great servant for Everton.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fair
as you
play
say, coming over probably at a young age from Sligo, wasn't it?
Sligo Rovers.
Yeah. Gosh, incredible. Yeah. And also the reciprocation as well. Everton wanting him to stay.
Well, I've heard, and I don't know this as a given, Nat, but I've always heard that his signed contracts has always been done absolutely with like no delays, no. It's always been done. Signed, Everton, happy to stay.
Nice.
Love
it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. He's committing to was it another season?
Another season, one more year. But he's 36 now, so fair play to him.
Do you know? And it's probably quite nice to move into that new stadium. Whether he decides then it's time to give.
Season. Yeah.
Hang up the boots, and then maybe he
might not play a lot, but he'll be there.
He'll probably join the Everton staff.
Yeah, exactly.
Just be there through and through to the end. Why not? Okay, it's time for us to bring you the latest odds from Coral.
The Coral Daily Download on TalkSport with Coral. Celebrating 50 years of the Coral Eclipse. Oh, that's golden. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Simon Clare, how lovely to see you. Good morning.
Simon.
Good morning, Nat. Good morning, Cass. How are we doing?
Very well. Thank you for being with us this morning. Right, Club World Cup. We're into the knockout stages. This is where it gets really juicy.
Yeah, it does. So look, Chelsea are even money to beat Benfica. It's a good tie today. 5-2 the draw. So odds on really to go through. Chelsea 1-2, 6-4 Benfica, but not a lot in it. And as you say, it gets serious. So extra time comes into play. Chelsea are 8-1 to win extra time, and Benfica at 12-1, and penalty shootouts. We can't split them. It goes that far, 9-1 each of two. We don't really want that, but yes, Chelsea are fifth favourites. They're 12-1 to win the tournament, with the likes of City and PSG are pretty much joint favourites. Then Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, so European sides in the top five. But yeah, good game to look forward to, Cass.
Oh, absolutely, and. It's the Scott Minto derby.
Good call. I like that.
And now Natalie told me. No, Natalie gave it to me, but I'm plagiarising it. So
the Scott Minto derby.
Yeah, I wonder how he's going to feel about it.
Well, I'm going to steal that and text him. Has anyone told him? I'll get in there first.
No, Scott. Yesterday, I was listening to him, and he's saying, "Oh, every team I play for, I support," and I'm laughing. I'm thinking, "Yeah, who are you supporting? Benfica or Chelsea?" Scott, come on.
Yeah, quite right to ask him that. What about the European Championship, the under-21s? England taking on Germany in the final.
Yeah, listen, to be honest, this is the game that excites me more. I watched quite a few of the games, and they've really improved in the knockout stages under Lee Carsley's team, peaking at the right time. They got beat by Germany in the group. I think this will be different. We can't split them in the betting. It's 5-6 each of two to lift the trophy tonight. 8-5. They're both 8-5 to win in 90 minutes. 5-2 the draw. Jay Stansfield, I really enjoyed watching him. He's going to be a star for Birmingham this season, or very important for Birmingham this season. But leading the line like an old-style centre forward, Cass, isn't he? Just charging around, causing havoc. And Harvey Elliott, who's been good for Liverpool last season, but really, and McAtee, both him and McAtee, just looking such mature, experienced players for this under-21 side, which of course they are, I suppose. But I'm really hopeful. Actually, I'd love to see Lee Carsley lift another trophy. I thought, he almost had a bit of a tough time with his brief time in charge of the senior side, even though he did quite well. But anyway, I am really rooting for them. I think it'd be great. But Germany are good, aren't they? So
it just shows you how good this England under-21 team is. Wanyeri doesn't really get in the starting lineup, does he? Which is extraordinary.
He's almost a super sub, isn't he? I mean, he's sort of, they keep talking about him. But players I don't really know much about. Jonathan Rowe looks such a strong, athletic player, doesn't he? And I say it's all bodes well. And the way they play is almost the way you'd love the England senior team to play, with that sort of flair and speed. It's weird, isn't it? How you get into the older side, it all slows down, doesn't it, Cass? But anyway,
everything as you get older slows down, Simon.
That's probably it.
What about racing today?
Yeah.
Racing, we got a big race in Ireland, the Pre-Poly Stakes, where Andrew Balding, the English-trained horse, Calpurna, the filly, is the 5-4 favourite. That's the sort of the quality angle at 3:30. But over in England, it's a historic race, actually. The Northumberland Plate is dubbed the Pitman's Derby back in the day when they were mining, obviously going on big style in Newcastle, not so much now, obviously. But and that race there, Roaring Legend represents the Michael Owen stable. He's a 16-1 chance. But East India Dock is the hot favourite there at 6-1. So good racing this afternoon.
Superb. Thank you, Simon.
Cheers. Take care, guys. Have a good day.
That was Simon Clare from Coral. It is 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org. Please do gamble responsibly.
The Coral Daily Download on TalkSport with Coral. Celebrating 50 years of the Coral Eclipse. Oh, that's golden. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Okay, up next, we're going to bring you the buzz from Brentford, with Keith Andrews appointed as the club's new head coach. Good morning. This is Game Day Breakfast with a man who has scored 70 fewer career goals than Robbie Keane, according to ChatGPT. Tony Cascarino.
70 what? International goals?
No.
70 fewer?
Fewer career goals.
Cool. Well, Robbie got a lot international, didn't he?
Well, he's the top scorer, isn't he,
66, I think, Robbie? Is it 66 goals? Yeah.
Well,
he's way ahead of everybody.
If you scored 70 fewer international goals, you'd be on minus goals.
No, okay. No, I've sort of forgot the number that Robbie got, 66. But I know if you put Stapleton, Quinn and me, which I think are the next three in line, we all add all our goals up together, we're still short.
Not at 60.
Just short of Robbie. So it just shows you how well Robbie done.
Yeah, very, very well. So that is Tony Cascarino, who is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer. And here are some of your headlines today. Sunderland are set to break their transfer record for the second time this summer with a £30 million deal for midfielder Habib Diarra from Strasbourg. Touchline interviews with substituted players and camera access to dressing rooms are some of the new features you can expect in this upcoming Premier League season as TV coverage grows a little bit, well,
delves even deeper.
What do you think about that?
I don't know. I think it could be great, and it's a bit like, you know, when you see things introduced in VAR and how will it go, and then you think, well, there's the consequence of that. Okay, what will be the consequence of having the cameras going into the dressing room? And I'm not sure. I don't know if it's going to feel totally real. I don't know.
Is it bad that my first thought is it's so American?
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that's my first thought initially. And there is some things, and we always talk about the sanctity of a dressing room.
Yeah.
And I know we see it sometimes now post-match. I don't mind that so much, but I just think there's a time and a place, and we don't need to see the dressing rooms. And I don't know if I want to have... and how a touchline interview is going to work during a game. I don't know. I'm just such a traditionalist. I don't need all these changes, but hey-ho.
I haven't been in the dressing room for a long time, but if I said, you know, dressing rooms can be a brutal place sometimes, especially when you're losing games, you come in at half-time. It might not necessarily be the coach. It might not be the reserve manager or the manager. It could be the players that will kick off, you know, and things get said and then it gets spiky, you know. So it can be an intimidating experience.
Quite. One of those managers who will be hoping that there's no spikiness in the dressing room is perhaps one of the biggest surprises of the summer in terms of an appointment, which comes in the form of Keith Andrews, the former Ireland international and Brentford ex-set-piece coach. He was confirmed yesterday as the new Brentford head coach. He joined the Bees last summer to work under Thomas Franklin as the club's set-piece coach and now steps into his first senior position. He'll be reunited with Brentford's other addition this summer. That's the goalkeeper Caoimhín Kelleher, who he worked with during his time at the Republic of Ireland. And as I mentioned, it is his first managerial role, and quite a role to come into in terms of the Premier League. Despite that, the former Brentford CEO, Andrew Mills, says fans should trust the process.
What would I be feeling if I was a Brentford fan? Well, I think I'd have trusted the ownership and management thus far, and so that would give me confidence. However, you are absolutely right, and Ollie, you're absolutely right to say it's extremely thin, the confidence, because you know the player group tend to be by their very nature insecure, and so it's a very delicate balance between them believing that a manager is going to be beneficial for their careers, and that's why people talk about losing dressing rooms or player power. So Keith will know that group. You'll see at the start of the season whether they believe that Keith is in fact the right person to continue the pathway that they've had that's been successful for them.
Okay, so that was the former CEO of Brentford giving his thought on the situation. Let's come to you first and get your reaction to this appointment.
Well, I listened to you yesterday speaking to Jason Cundy and Jamie O'Hara, and I thought you said it spot on. I mean, there's a lot of unknown in this.
Yeah.
You know, we are going to be sceptical because this is, although he's been an assistant manager, it's his first attempt at being a manager of a football club in the Premier League, which is obviously an elite level. Is Damien Duff going along as well?
Well, there's rumours.
Is it? Because Damien quit Shelbourne, didn't he?
Yes, he has. And he was. I mean, no one really had spoken to him. I did see, and forgive me, I don't know the name of the journalist. Someone on social media saying that he had spoken to Duff, and at that point, Duff had said no, that it wasn't in the equation. But that might just be because he couldn't say anything.
One of the trickiest things that obviously Keith Andrews is going to have to face is that also there's players leaving. Okay, and important players are gone. You've lost your goalkeeper. You've lost, obviously, in Burmo. That looks like imminent that's going to happen. You might lose Norgaard as well. So there's going to be players going out the camp. And then, obviously, replacements will come in. Thiago will be fit, hopefully, this season for you. So there's a new centre-forward. But there's still a lot of question marks that we honestly, how can I give an opinion when I've never seen, obviously, his formation, his setup, how adaptable he's going to be. It could be a big surprise to us. I mean, they do know more than us, don't they? If you think of the owner, Benham, and what he's done and how so often he's proved a lot of people wrong. And also, you said it yesterday, Nat, you've had people like Warburton come in. You remember he was working in the city.
Yeah, he had no footballing experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's even more outrageous as a decision than Keith Andrews. If you're going to say, if you're going to come from the city, that doesn't mean they don't know anything about football in the city, but that's a pretty big risk to take then.
I mean, I will hold my hands up and say when it was first suggested that Keith Andrews was in line to get this job, I thought, no, that's not going to happen. They're going to go for something different. I felt like they might go down a slightly strange way to say it, but exotic route, perhaps. Just a little bit of an unknown that we might not have thought about. But then again, that is kind of Keith Andrews because we hadn't really thought about him. And like you say, I agree with you. This is the first time in nearly 7 years that I feel as a Brentford fan we're in an unknown period. You know, we've had the time with Thomas Frank where for much of it it's just been up and up and up and up. That's how it's felt. We've always been on that trajectory. Whereas now we just don't know because we haven't seen what Keith Andrews does in terms of his day-to-day work. Yes, you see his set pieces. Yes, you will see that he's had some great success with our set pieces. You know, remember when Brentford went through that crazy spell of early goals? Yeah. That all came about from Keith Andrews and his idea of how we should make a mark straight away from kickoff. And when he was appointed set-piece coach last year, Phil Giles, who's our director of football, had said he is someone we have known for a while and have always had in mind for a role at some point in the future. So they have been tracking him for a while.
I'm not accusing Brentford of being negligent here and making a rash decision. They've made a call that's a brave call.
Yeah.
Even whatever we think, whether it's from the outside it seems crazy in many ways, but they also have got the most knowledge and the most data about what Keith has already achieved in coaching roles, whether it's a set-piece coaching role or whether it's an assistant manager. So I can only say what I will do is look at his teams, watch them play, look at the formation, look at the personnel that's in the side, and can he, there's one thing being, a coach, and there's another thing being a manager as well, and that's the adaptable bit, is handling players when things go wrong.
Yes.
What we saw with Thomas Frank over numerous occasions, that there will be normally a reaction to a defeat by performance and setup of the team. That was the great thing of Thomas Frank, that he really could see the problems that his team were developing and then adjust to it.
But also one of the things that Thomas Frank, and you do see this a lot with head coaches, of course, when they have all their different assistants and coaches at clubs, is that they aren't as hands-on in the build-up to a game, in the sense of they allow their coaches to do a lot of the training. Justin Cochrane was one of those who's now gone with Thomas Frank to Spurs. And I imagine that Keith Andrews wasn't just sat in an office for most of the week planning his set pieces. He would have been involved in a lot of that coaching. So there's more to it than just preparing set pieces as a coach.
Absolutely, yeah, of course it is. It's being lazy. Saying that just being set pieces is a really lazy line to say because he's played professional football for a number of times. He's had 30-odd international appearances. He's been part of coaching groups, whether it's Republic of Ireland, whether it's Brentford and whoever else. He's witnessed and been around the game. So it's a lazy line just to say he's a set-piece coach and that's it. How are we going to judge him? We haven't seen any of his team play yet.
Yeah.
So we have to wait and see on this one.
It's interesting, isn't it? The friendlies that Brentford will have.
Oh, it'll be judged on them.
It will be judged, unfortunately.
That's the game. I mean, God forbid, we get to the day where you lose a friendly and there's going to be a meltdown because you lost a friendly.
You see it all the time. Yeah. You see it all the time. As I said to you already, it's an unknown period for Brentford. When you think of Brentford in the Premier League, you think synonymously with Thomas Frank. You think of Brian Mbermo. You think of Christian Norgaard, really. Those players, that manager's, gone. Those players likely to leave, if you believe reports. Mark Flecken is also gone, like you mentioned, the goalkeeper, but we brought in Queven Kelleher. There will be more introductions as well. I'm sure Keith Andrews will want to bolster the squad too. It's just going into this season is going to be...
A little bit of irony there, isn't it, that Kelleher signed for Brentford and Keith Andrews was his coach at,
Yeah, who knows?
Just saying,
Hey,
I think...
It could have all been planned. No, but do you know what? I was just going to say that it is the first time I'm going to go into a season, and I've never gone into a Premier League season really worrying, apart from the first season, because you just didn't know. It was completely like, oh, this is going to be so new to us. But ever since, I've never thought, oh, we're going to be in a fight here, a dogfight. Now, again, we might not be. It might just be, and Phil Giles, again, the director of football, has said this is about moving Brentford on. It's not staying where we are, it's moving us on, and that's why they feel Keith Andrews is the right person to do that. But there is an element of me thinking, I don't know what's going to happen, and it could be the first time that we're involved in a proper relegation fight. Equally, it could be just we're building on what we've already achieved, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, wait and see, because I don't want to make a call. Like I said, I do know Keith. He's not my friend, but I've met him, talked to him on odd occasions, and I wish him the best of luck. It's a tough gig for him.
It is tough.
And he's got to win over a lot of people.
It is tough, but any appointment is a risk, as we know. So
all managers going up. Management's impossible now. It really is. Yeah. It's impossible.
Yeah. But as we've had here, Radio Brentford will be coming from the Championship next season. Everyone's saying Keith Andrews been at a club for years and knows it. He's been there a year, losing the manager, then captain, and their best player. Brentford are doomed. Well, we might be doomed. But you know what? In our first season, everyone expected us to go down straight away. We're heading into our 5th Premier League season, so I'm pretty chuffed at just the fact that we've got a 5th season to look forward to. And what will be, will be. I'll still be a fan. By the way, let me just tell you about winning tickets to Oasis, because if you missed out, we can give you a chance of being at their Manchester gig on July the 19th. You can... get those tickets then for Oasis Live 25, which is sold out. Alongside those tickets, we'll give you $5,000, completely tax-free, and also put you up in a hotel for the night. Listen up for everything you need to know.
Alright, kid. You have to be over 18 to enter in the UK, excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win a pair of tickets to the most electrifying rock and roll reunion of the century, a hotel stay, and $5,000 spending money, all you got to do is text the word Oasis to 83338 by Monday the 7th of July at 11 p.m. and you'll be entered into the draw to go supersonic this summer. Sorted. Right, here's all the legal stuff. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You've got to have the bill payer's permission or post your name and number to Oasis Prize Draw, PO Box 3190, Colchester, CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of July. This is a TalkSport limited promotion run on TalkSport, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com.
morning. This is Game Day Breakfast. Here in the studio, a man with a key to the French city of Nancy. It's Tony Cascarino. He is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer. Just very quickly, I want to just check in on Jimmy, the Burnley fan.
Yeah.
Are you all right, Jimmy? Did Brentford upset you? He says, I hope you crash and burn. To be fair, he's done some smiley emojis as well. So, but you know,
just reply, just say, yeah, it might be on fire next year.
Yeah, when we take on Burnley.
Burnley.
Oh gosh, be the fire derby for Jimmy. Thank you very much for your message, Jimmy. It's time now for us to look ahead to today's Club World Cup action, all thanks to DAZN.
FIFA Club World Cup Roundup on TalkSport, presented by DAZN. Watch every game of the FIFA Club World Cup live and for free on DAZN. Sign up now at DAZN.com.
Chelsea then are through to the last 16 of this Club World Cup, and they'll be taking on Benfica in North Carolina. One player fans are excited about going into the new season is Liam Delap, and he got off to the mark against Esperance du Tunis in their last game. TalkSport's Gabby Agbonlahor has big praise for Chelsea's new number 9.
Can he get relationships now with Neto, Madueke, Casado as well? Because he's going to score goals, Al. Yeah. I'll guarantee you that, and I think he will.
Did he get his start because of Jackson's red card?
Yeah, so he got his start. That's all you can do, can't you? Yeah. When someone gets sent off, make your start count. But he's not here to be a bit part player. He's at Chelsea to be the number 1 striker, and I really think he will. And if I'm him, I'm saying to myself, what's my target? World Cup. That's my target next summer.
Oh, why not? We need a Harry Kane understudy, so it could well be Liam Delap. To discuss Delap's start and look ahead to this game, we're now joined by Simon Johnson, the Chelsea correspondent for The Athletic. Simon, hello, how are you?
Hi, Simon.
I'm very well. How are you guys?
Yes,
yeah, we're good.
Very, very well. Let's talk Liam Delap then. How's he started at Chelsea?
Very well. In his first game off the bench, he set up a goal for Enzo Fernandez, made some very good runs. You could tell his combination with Cole Palmer, of course, born in Manchester City's academy, so those two have got a natural understanding. Mm-hmm. But quite interestingly, Enzo Fernandez also seems to have already developed an understanding with him. Delap said the other day that Fernandez says, when I get the ball, make a run, and it was his assist which Delap took full advantage of the other night. And look, Jackson, you know, he is now suddenly under pressure for the first time for his place in the team. Perhaps, who knows, that played a part in his moment of madness when he got sent off. Suddenly the pressure is on him because he's got someone that could take his place in the side. And of course, Liam Delap will start tonight, unless something has happened in training or something. And so it's another chance for Delap to make an impression whilst Jackson is sitting on watching from the sidelines.
Well, Simon, it's also good that your striker hits the ground running, you know, and not has to wait, because you know what it's like. The standard of what Chelsea are expecting, and you know, if you go on any barren run, even in the Club World Cup, people start going, we're not so sure. Is he ready for Chelsea? One thing I would say is the Chelsea midfield, if they are at their best with Fernandez, Caicedo and it's Palmer, them three, if they play well, they'll cause a lot of teams problems. And I think Fernandez has gone on to another level in the last 6 months where for that £100 million fee, he's really looking like that player now, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, no Chelsea players had more goal involvements than him in the calendar year. He seems to be thriving under Maresca. Maresca has encouraged him to get into the penalty area, making those kind of runs. I hesitate.
Lampard, you're going to say. I know what you're saying. He's right. You're right.
No one will be Frank Lampard, but he's starting to make those kind of runs.
Yeah.
We saw it in the Conference League final, the beautiful ball from Cole Palmer to Enzo Fernandez, which he scored. And of course, as I've already mentioned, Delap's cross for Enzo Fernandez to score against LAFC. I mean, this is the Enzo Fernandez derby. Benfica were very upset when he left in January 2023, even though they got £106 million for him. But he has taken his game onto another level, and he's not only his performances, but also as a leader. He often wears the captain's armband when Reece James isn't playing. And he definitely sort of gives the team a bit of passion when he's on the pitch, which I think has been lacking from a Chelsea team for a couple of years.
Let's talk about this last 16 game quickly, shall we? Benfica then that they're taking on. When you look at the group stage, Chelsea lost their second game to Flamengo, having taken the lead in that one, which meant that they finished as runners-up. But in a way, do you think, Simon, that's opened up the sort of draw for them? Because they have now avoided the likes of Bayern, PSG and Real Madrid as a result.
It was all part of the plan, Natalie. Maresca's a genius. I mean, they were certainly given a bit of a gift there with Bayern Munich sort of paying the price for playing a bit of a weakened side against Benfica. But I think at the same time we beat them 1-0. But at the same time, I think Benfica still have to be respected. There's still going to be a difficult game, but there's no doubt that Chelsea would rather be playing Benfica than Bayern Munich with Kay Musiala and Michael Elise and all the other brilliant names they've got. And then what might be interesting if Chelsea get through is the possibility of playing Palmeiras, who have a Chelsea player in waiting, and Esteval Willian playing for them. So that could make for an interesting quarter-final tie. But the South American teams look fired up for this tournament. So I don't think anyone should be sort of plotting a Chelsea-Manchester City semi-final just yet. I think it's going to be... With Chelsea, you never know what you're going to get. They can look good, and then they can play like they did against Flamengo. But Maresca will certainly hope they get through tonight against Benfica.
I can't believe you're not allowing us to have the Premier League arrogance that we'd get a Premier League team in the final as a result.
That's what I'm here for, Natalie. I'm here to rain on everyone's parade. We could do with a bit of rain, couldn't we?
Oh, yeah. Very hot. Very hot. How is everyone dealing with it?
Well, out in America, you talk about me personally.
Well, both, everywhere.
I'm struggling, but I think the players are struggling a lot more than me. I mean, the other day they had to play, even though the game in Philadelphia kicked off at 9 o'clock, it was still 34 degrees Celsius. It's just crazy, and you can see the sweat just dripping off them. You wonder not so much how they're dealing with it now. It's more a case of what kind of impact is this going to have on the players later down the line when the actual season proper starts again.
Yeah, very much so. Simon, thank you.
Thanks, Simon.
Pleasure.
Great to chat to you. That was Simon Johnson, the Chelsea correspondent for The Athletic. You can tune into this Club World Cup match then, taking place later on tonight. TalkSport 2, the Scott Minto derby. Guess what? He's on commentary duty as well, alongside Nigel Adderley then, as they take on Benfica. Kickoff is at 9. Okay, that was a look ahead to the FIFA Club World Cup with DAZN. Watch every game of the FIFA Club World Cup live and free on DAZN. Sign up at dazn.com.
FIFA Club World Cup Roundup on TalkSport, presented by DAZN. Sign up now at dazn.com to watch every game live and for free.
We will be talking plenty of live sport next. In the next hour, we'll look ahead to the Lions' second warm-up game as they take on Western Force live on TalkSport. We'll preview the England under-21s as they take on Germany in the final of the Euros with football writer and TalkSport's very own Henry Winter. Both games are live for you on the TalkSport network, and this is Game Day Breakfast. Good morning. This is Game Day Breakfast. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me is a man who not only could score goals, but he could certainly do a nice shampoo and set as well. That's Tony Cascarino.
Good morning. I love that phrase, shampoo and set.
I know, it is nice.
But
nobody says it anymore, do they?
No, I don't. I don't know. They must be still doing them. Yeah, I'm sure.
I've never gone into a hairdresser and heard someone say, "Can I just have a shampoo and set?"
Yeah, them days have certainly gone in saloons. Or salons. Salons, yeah. I think I'm going into a bar.
I was going to say.
Salon.
Yeah, you need your cowboy boots on, like John Wayne.
So Matt Page yesterday was talking about his cowboy boots.
Oh, I know. My son showed me a picture of them as well. I was like, whoa. He never wore them in my day. Anyway, let's move on. Shortly, we'll be discussing the British and Irish Lions ahead of their second warm-up game, and we'll have the soon-to-be award-winning... Oh, thanks. I like that, Sam. Natalie Sawyer this hour too. But before all of that, let's focus on the Austrian Grand Prix tomorrow, because TalkSport's Tom Clayton has everything you need to know ahead of race weekend at the Red Bull Ring.
First return of the Austrian Grand Prix this weekend, and the hills are alive with the sound of V6 turbo hybrid monsters once again. This time last year, Max Verstappen and Lando Norris came together, handing the win to George Russell. Now, Russell also won last time out in Canada, but he's not 100% sure he's going to be able to replicate that this weekend. This weekend seems to be all about the McLaren pair of Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. Can they get back to winning ways after their controversial crash in Canada? It's lights out on Sunday at 2 o'clock.
Tom, thank you very much. And all eyes will be on Bratislava tonight as England's under-21s take on Germany in the European Championship final.
Got it into the path of Harvey Elliott in the area! What a finish! Harvey Elliott lashes it home for England, and England's young guns are through to another final. The holders of the Under-21 European Championship will have the chance to retain their trophy. England go through to face Germany in the final on Saturday night.
You know, it can't be an achievement, even though, you know, I'm really proud of the lads just to get to a final. I think, you know, we want to try and win it. We believe that we can. I've got a lot of belief in this squad.
Swung into the middle now, good ball as well, and it's such an easy goal as Nelson Viper scores his first for the Germany Under-21.
To get back-to-back at this level, when there's such high quality throughout Europe, to really take control of the tournament, I think is fantastic. And if they can get one more game over the line, then they're going to be heroes throughout the country.
So let's look ahead to that game now in more detail. Lee Carsley's Young Lions picked up a brilliant 2-1 victory over the Netherlands in the semi-finals, thanks to a Harvey Elliott brace who took centre stage, as you can imagine. And now they take on a Germany team who beat them in the group stage 2-1. But Ashley Cole, the current England Under-21 assistant manager, joined TalkSport Breakfast yesterday and said that belief in the camp is sky high.
Going into the tournament, we looked to, try to get through the group. That was the main aim, but then to continue to, perform at a good level. The players have not played with each other that much, so it was just about connecting and being a group. And obviously, you reach another final back to back is a great achievement for the lads. We spoke a lot about winning after winning, how hard it is to win, but to put ourselves in a position where we could win again, I think. The lads have shown a great resilience and togetherness, and Saturday will be the finale for us, and hopefully we can show our best foot.
OK, well, let's get more insight then from a man who's been following this team closely. It's football writer and Sunday Edition co-host Henry Winter, who joins us now live from Slovakia. Morning to you, Henry.
Morning, Natalie. Morning, Tony. How are we?
We're good.
well.
Henry, I wanted to ask you first of all, because we're guilty as we get older of looking at the younger lads and being stereotyping them as, they're not made the same as we were, and they don't have the same cares of the game or the right morals, principles. You can't accuse this England team of that. I think we've seen an abundance of character within the group.
Yeah, the resilience. You know, they give up a goal, a frustrating goal against the Dutch. Beadle, the goalkeeper, was slightly caught out at his near post, but there's a resilience. I mean, you know, it's been fantastic out here, and I've done about 9 or 10 of these under-21 tournaments, and obviously the seniors as well. And this is an incredibly resilient group. And you're completely right. I mean, we do look back, and there's a sort of, in our day, you know, they would have absolutely fought, but there are a bunch of fighters in there. I don't think it's necessarily the greatest generation of talent. And remember, the sort of the Bellinghams and Delaps and players like that aren't out here, but they're eligible. Cole Palmer, Cole, players like that. But this group out here, second to none in resilience. I mean, embodied for me by Elliot Anderson. I mean, there've been 4 or 5 players out here for me who've really stood out. Anderson, definitely. And particularly, we look at it, Tony, and that, you know, you look at it through the prism of the senior team and who can step up. Elliot Anderson can step up as a number 6. He definitely deserves looking at against Andorra in the first game of next season by Thomas Tuchel, who is planning to be out here. And then Harvey Elliott as well. I mean, his resilience as well. You know, he's probably had a frustrating time at Liverpool. He wants to be playing more. He's come out here and shown his character. James McAtee, the captain, who could have gone out to the Club World Cup, sat on the bench, and he's come out here. He's captain. He's probably not been England's best player, but he's just been fantastic. But absolutely, you're so right. That character in this young team has been outstanding.
Elliot Anderson is a player we've talked about previously with Thomas Tuchel and being unlucky to miss out on the senior side. But that pain has, of course, been under 21's gain because he's out in Slovakia right now. And just in terms of England throughout this tournament, if you look at the group stage, indifferent, a little bit inconsistent, 1 win, 1 draw, 1 loss. That loss to Germany as well. But in the knockout stages, where it truly matters, of course, Henry, they've really come to the fore.
Well, they've grown into it. I mean, Tony, you played into tournaments. People tend to remember your last few games rather than the group stage games, which can be sort of sterile, a bit tactical. But what's really impressed me, and again, emphasising the youth of this team, it's just the maturity. I mean, coming back to Elliot Anderson, there was a moment in the Dutch game when Elliot had restored the lead with about sort of 5 minutes to go. And Elliot Anderson, he was like a 27, 28-year-old with all the game smarts of going down to the corner flag and inviting the tackle, which won the throw-in, but still having that desire to do well and entertain. And he had another shot at sort of a couple of minutes later. So they're intelligent, they're enthusiastic. And look, there's a jump between the under-21s and the seniors, and we know the seniors shirt does weigh more heavily, but it's just enjoyable just watching this England team, and also knowing when they do go behind, they've got that fight to get back in, which they're going to need, because this is a good Germany team. Their 3 strikers will cause England problems.
Yeah, and also a game for redemption really with England. Obviously they lost to Germany in the group stages, but I think they'd be pretty confident that they can still really cause them way more problems they did in that group game.
It kind of felt like in that he was tinkering a bit, Lee Carsley, with his setup as well.
He was, and the Germans were tinkering as well. Yeah. They left their main man, Woltermater, out. But you know what? Again, it's my age, and I'm always throwing questions at the players in the mix, saying, the years of hurt, the sort of, Germany, the frustration, we sort of go back so many times, Euro 96 and all that. Italia 90, and they just look at you as if you're speaking another language, and they don't have that fear. They're not weighed down by history because of their youth, but also because this generation is used to winning, whether it's under 16s, under 17s. I was speaking to Scott from Bournemouth, and he's won a trophy out here in Slovakia, let alone elsewhere. So this is a generation that's used to winning. This is a generation that's not sort of weighed down by the past, and particularly the obsession about Germany. And it's also, which is great, it's been a real tournament of respect between the coaches, respect between the players, apart from the flare-up against Spain. And it's been very good to see. And it's great that Tuchel's coming out here, because there are at least 2 players, Anderson and Livramento, who deserve a look early next season.
Just finally then, Henry, from what you've seen of England, can they do it?
It's Germany. I'm getting weighed down by history myself.
You're not listening to the younger players.
I think they can. And my one word of Germany is Elfmeter, which is penalty, which I've learned through my costs down of 40 years doing this. I think they have got a chance because of their resilience, because of leaders like Anderson, who doesn't need the armband, because of Charlie Cresswell will give this fantastic. It's a great piece in the Mail today by Nathan Saul, just talking about the rallying cry that Charlie's going to give them before the game, and they just believe. And that's all you can ask for. Go out, entertain, believe, and do your best. And I think they will.
Yeah. Well, I hope you have that sentiment yourself and forget the Germany angle. Brilliant. As always, Henry, thank you.
Cheers, Henry.
Pleasure.
That's Henry Winter, who's out in Slovakia then, covering this under-21 European Championships, and we're bringing it to you live, this final, on TalkSport tonight. It kicks off at 8. Ollie Klink, Joe Shannon, and the former England under-21 midfielder Darren Ambrose, your team in place to bring you coverage of that one. Tomorrow from 8, by the way, on TalkSport, you'll be able to hear the latest edition of After the Lights Go Out, featuring the England Rugby Union great James Haskell. In a wide-ranging interview with Steve Harmison and Leon McKenzie, James discusses his high-profile marriage breakup, living with ADHD, struggling in the aftermath of his rugby career, and performing today as an international DJ.
Now, with the fact that technology has evolved, you become also not just a selector, but a performer, because you are able to mix 2 tracks and then the third, bring an a cappella and create something. You've got effects, you can build tension, you can take away tension. And I think, unlike rugby, you're engaged with the crowd. They are there to see you. They are not there to see a team. So it's a very different experience. And actually, they play much more of a role in DJing than they do in certain rugby crowds.
It will be another fascinating After the Lights Go Out with James Haskell tomorrow from 8 right here on TalkSport. And there's also a podcast edition of the show, which is available now from all your usual podcast providers. Up next, we'll be talking to the former Bournemouth defender and now Watford coach, Charlie Daniels. listening to Game Day Breakfast here on Talk Sport. We're live on your radio, YouTube and smart TV as well. It's Bromley's finest, Tony Cascarino, who is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer, and we are with you until 10 this morning. Just to remind you, if you haven't heard, we're giving you the chance to win tickets to Oasis in Manchester on July 19th. It is sold out, their reunion, but we can get you in. And not only that, alongside the tickets, we'll put you up for a night in a hotel, give you $5,000 as well, completely tax-free. So listen up on everything you need to know and how to enter.
Alright, kid, you have to be over 18 to enter in the UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win a pair of tickets to the most electrifying rock and roll reunion of the century, a hotel stay and $5,000 spending money, all you gotta do is text the word Oasis to 83338 by Monday the 7th of July at 11 p.m. and you'll be entered into the draw to go supersonic this summer. Sorted. Right, here's all the legal stuff. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You've got to have the bill payer's permission or post your name and number to Oasis Prize Draw, PO Box 3190, Colchester, CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of July. This is a Talk Sport limited promotion run on Talk Sport, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com.
Best of luck. Right, let's talk about a championship now and focus on Watford. After finishing 14th last season, Tom Cleverley was relieved of his duties as manager, and a week later, the Uruguayan Paulo Pezzolano, who has managed in Mexico, Brazil, and most recently in Spain with Real Valladolid, took over with the task of trying to get Watford back into the Premier League. Joining us now is someone who knows the Championship well, is now part of the setup at Vicarage Road as well. It's the former Bournemouth defender and now Watford under-21 boss, Charlie Daniels. Charlie, how are you?
Charlie.
Good morning, Natalie. Good morning, Tony. How are we?
Yeah, good.
Very well. Thank you for being with us this morning. First things first, what does this sort of summer period, how does that work out for you? Are you just resting and do you get a break, or do you simply have to just keep going?
Yeah, no, we do get a break. It's a lot towards the end of the season. It's pretty hectic planning pre-season and what it looks like and little things like that, all the logistics wise. But yeah, you do get a nice little break over the summer. But now we're back in and it's full steam ahead.
Yeah.
Charlie, tell us about, obviously Watford have been a club that are hired and fired pretty quickly numerous times. Do you feel that, I mean, obviously quite left field because not many of us in the game know too much about the new manager. So I'm sure you're very excited about what's lying ahead for Watford Football Club.
Yeah, as you say, he's a manager who comes in full of new ideas, new interests. You know, he's very forward thinking. He wants to play on the front foot. He wants to play exciting attacking football. So it's just him implementing that into the team.
And in terms of your relationship with him, you know, and the players that might make the step up into the senior team, I mean, how is that all working? Are we going to see some of your players making their senior mark this season?
Yeah, I think we hope so. We've had a fantastic record over the time that I've been at the football club. We've had 9-10 debutants in the last 4 years, which is really pleasing, and it's a testament to the academy how well we've done and produced players, but also to the managers that have been here to put the trust in the academy, trust our judgment, and you know, and then obviously down to the players to go on a pitch and make their mark. So we're hoping it's going to be the same process this season. You know, we try and work as closely as we can to the first team. There's a lot of talks, a lot of engagement between us, and yeah, hopefully we can have another successful season.
Are the lads all back in now, Charlie?
Yeah, everyone's back in now. Yeah, so the last couple of days they've been back in doing testing, and then it fully kicks off, I think, on Monday with full training.
Yeah, with full training. Are you going abroad, or are you going to be staying in Britain?
No, we're staying in Britain this season. You know, it's with the academy, obviously the new first years that come in straight from school. It's a good chance for them to bed in with the under-18s, and we kind of stick close to each other and kind of work together and, as I say, trying to improve the players as much as we can.
The dreaded bleep test, that'll be taking place as well. Nobody
That's
likes
been taking
that.
place.
Oh, it's already done?
Yeah, it's already done. Yeah, it's something a little different. We do. It's called a 30-15, but again, still the same process. Still a dreaded test.
It's horrible
for anyone.
On the bleep test, I remember, is it like the really good ones get to about 16, 17? Is that right, Charlie?
Oh, you're testing my judgment now. I think the bleep test has gone. So we use something a little bit different called 30-15. So it's 30 seconds running, 15 seconds rest, and it increments. Again, it goes up in speed at certain points, and then the longer you last, obviously, the fitter you are.
Oh, goodness. So tell us then, you mentioned with the new manager, Pezzolano, coming in, he's bringing his new ideas in. So what do you think Watford can expect? What can the fans expect coming up this new season?
Well, I think he wants to implement, as I said, the high energy game and forward thinking, forward passing game, and and he's trying to create exciting football, just like any manager really. He wants to play on the front foot. He wants shots. He wants goals. He wants attacking play. So, listen, that's what he's looking for. So hopefully he can implement it.
Yeah. Well, you've already witnessed that, Charlie, haven't you, with your days at Bournemouth and the progression of the football club, where, who would have imagined Bournemouth from League Two many moons ago, and now in the Premier League and can play a style of football that is, you'd only associate with the leading clubs in the country.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic rise. I'm proud to be a part of it and play a small part in it, to get them from League One up into the Premier League. And where the way the club's going now under Bill Foley, for me, it's going to go from strength to strength. They've got the training ground now. They've got all the players on the pitch now. Hope they're going to revamp the stadium. So sport increments, they're going to get better and better, and hopefully really establish themselves as a Premier League club, and hopefully keep pushing on. And who knows where it's going to go.
When a club like Bournemouth does as well as they have done recently under Andoni Iraola, the vultures circle, and we have seen Kirkes leave, Howson leave, Zabani, Semenyo are players that have been linked with moves away as well. Is there any concern about that?
No, I think it's just natural, and it's happened before and it'll happen again, But what I can say is that Bournemouth has had a fantastic transfer policy in terms of what's next. So you've seen Dominic Solanke leave for 65 million and sign Evan Nilsson for 40 million. They've had that process in place, and it seems to be working. And as I say, it's like a conveyor belt, and until they get to a point where Bill Foley says, like, enough's enough, we've got enough financial stability, and we can really make keep our top players under contract, then that's what's going to happen. So it's a process. It's something that works on in the background, but it's something that's working. It's something that will continue to work as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, a lot of clubs are envious of the model of Bournemouth, Brighton, Brentford, and others. That model has been proven very successful, hasn't it, Charlie?
Yes, it's been fantastic. It just helps, obviously, with PSR and around, and stadium, how small it is. Bournemouth need to find different ways to bring in the revenue, and they seem to be doing that in an abundance. So it's an ingenious way of working. So it's envious for a lot of other clubs, and I'm sure more clubs will look that way as well.
Yeah, very much so. Charlie, best of luck for the new season. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Charlie.
And join us again, will you? That'd be great. Charlie Daniels there, the under-21 boss at Watford, former Bournemouth defender as well. Okay, on the way next, going to be live to Australia ahead of the British and Irish Lions' first warm-up game on Aussie soil, which is live for you on TalkSport in just 90 minutes from now. This is the GameDay Breakfast. You're tuning into this Saturday morning with a man who once won the Evening Standard Player of the Month award. That's Tony Cascarino, and I'm Natalie Sawyer. Here are some of your headlines today. Chelsea are reportedly set to make a new bid for the winger Jamie Gittins after positive talks with Borussia Dortmund. Apparently they are in no rush, though, because they can't register the Englishman for the Club World Cup. And Cristiano Ronaldo has signed a new 2-year deal with Al Nassr worth close to £500 million. Goodness me, the deal will take him up to the age of 42. Wow. You can get more on all those stories at talksport.com. It's time now for us to get you an update on the British and Irish Lions in partnership with Tenor Men.
Qatar Airways Lions Tour Roundup on TalkSport with coverage sponsored by Tenor Men. Don't let drips and dribbles get in the way of the life you lead or the sport you love. Find out more at tenormen.co.uk.
OK, in Australia, we've got the start of something special. The Lions kick off their tour against the Western Force today, and of course you can catch it live right here on TalkSport.
The Lions tour of 2025 is underway.
It's great to be here. This is what it's all about, isn't it?
Great ball from Thomas Williams to Tyke Byrne, though, and Tyke Byrne in that baby blue scrum cap, but a bright red shirt, and the British and Irish Lions lead once again.
Pressure to who or what, or like there's individual pressure that you got to perform, and there's squad pressure that we want to put our best out there because we're representing the Lions.
Bundyaki on the right-hand side, thought about passing, goes himself, barrels over. Now has he got it down? Referee says yes.
Once every 12 years, and yeah, it's pretty cool how my career's aligned for me to be able to have the opportunity to play them, which is really exciting.
Right hands here for Jorgensen. Look at it free up Peaks, that's a beauty.
At the end of the day, it is just a Lion and a Wallabies team going at each other without the outside noise.
Here for a good time, so hopefully we can start this part of the tour off really well coming this Saturday.
And ahead of kick-off, Alfie Reynolds has been out and about speaking to fans about their thoughts on the game.
You're hoping for a better performance than what they put in against Argentina?
Oh Jesus, it better be better than that anyway. Like, Jesus, it can't be much worse. So yeah, no, 100%. Look, they'll do it today. And that's, yeah, definitely.
And we all know how special this is for the Lions. For the Western Force for Australia, it comes around once every 12 years. Can you just give a flavour of how special this is when the Lions come down under?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I remember 24 years ago, I went to the Lions Wallabies Test in Melbourne, and that was fantastic. It's just a great event, and we look forward to it every 12 years. It's a shame we can't do it more often.
Score prediction for you both?
Oh, a high one, I reckon.
I'll say 47.
47, Ellie, you said? Okay. I'm going to say, 63-10.
Oh,
63-10.
Why not? Why not? Let's take your life to Perth. Alfie Reynolds is standing by with the very latest on the Lions' preparations then ahead of this first match on Aussie soil. How are you, Alfie? How's Perth treating you?
Yeah, morning Natalie, morning Cass. Very, very good, thank you. Excited for this one. I'm in our position here in the stadium, the TalkSport position. It's starting to fill up. A lot of red shirts going to be in here. And as we just heard from the fans, they're in confident mood, which to be fair, I can understand why. Typically, the Lions, when they play in Western Australia, they usually win pretty comfortably. Let's hope it's the same story today.
Well, a lot of Leinster players are available now, so that's a good thing. I'm sure there'll be, by Andy Farrell's standards, a number of Irish players in this lineup for the British and Irish Lions. So a lot more optimism after the Argentina defeat, Alfie.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, Andy Farrell was always going to shuffle his pack purely because he has to get game time into a number of these players. But a really interesting part of this team selection, 8 players in the starting 15 play for Ireland, 11 across the match day 23. So there is a familiarity and a continuity there, which I think he's going to be relying upon to give them a more cohesive performance. He wasn't happy after Argentina. He will want a much better performance and, of course, importantly, a win to set them up and running down under.
Yeah, I remember, obviously, not that long ago, the Lions chief executive, Ben Calverley, was saying that he expected all of the warm-up games that the Lions will take on against the Australian oppositions, that they'll have their full-strength side. So that would essentially mean any of those players called up into Joe Schmidt's Aussie side will have to be available, like in the Western Force team. So how strong is this Western Force side going to be?
Well, it's still pretty strong. They've got about 6 Wallabies in the squad. There are a few that are still actually with the Wallabies set up. So I think they'll pose a tougher challenge than what the Lions typically get in Western Australia. What happens throughout the rest of the tour remains to be seen. We've seen a couple of more players get released back to the Reds, who is the Lions' next opponent on Wednesday in Brisbane. I can understand it from Joe Schmidt's point of view and the Lions. The Lions need to be tested. They want to be challenged to prepare them for that test series against Australia. From Joe Schmidt's point of view, he's looking at it and saying, well, that's all well and good, but I'm then not going to have my full squad for any of our preparations. Plus, they're playing in games they could get injured in. So I can see it both ways. Hopefully, I think we'll probably see a bit of a mix, which is what we're seeing at the moment. We'll see some guys released, but maybe not absolutely everyone.
I was reading a quote by Mac Hansen today, and he's saying the Irish Lions know they're going to get their heads chewed off. So I think, especially if they were to lose this another warm-up game, which I doubt. I can't see that happening, but he knows what's there.
Yeah, I mean, they've always got a target on their back, the Lions. We saw that with the reaction from the Argentina team with them winning in Dublin, how much it meant to them to have that on their resume of beating the Lions. And it's going to be the same for all of the teams that they come across here in Australia in building up to the Test series. So I think the Lions are well aware of the pressure they're under, the expectations. I think they're pretty relaxed about it, in all honesty. We're going to hear from Tyg Furlong in our build-up to the match, and he was talking about the pressure, and he was look, he's been on 2 previous Lions tours. He knows what it takes. I think they have confidence that they will get to where they need to be in time for that Test series. But that has to be shown at some point. It starts in this game later on this evening for me in Perth, morning for you guys in the UK.
And so in terms of the Lions then, because we don't yet know the first 15 that Andy Farrell will pick for that first test against the Wallabies. In terms of today, who has to prove themselves?
Well, all of them, I suppose. I mean, there's not too many positions in the Lions squad at the moment that you would say if the Test series was on Saturday, they're absolutely nailed on. Mauro Itoje, the captain, who's not playing today, you would expect to start. I think Dan Sheehan, who is playing today and is captaining the side today, his Lions debut, by the way, first ever appearance for the Lions, and he's captaining the team as well. That's a pretty cool story. I think he would be nailed on for a start. Outside of that, Finn Russell probably at fly half, but there aren't too many positions in the team that I think right now you could absolutely say they're definitely starting the Test series. Yes, we might be able to have a bit of a guess. So they're all playing for position. And Lions tours, you look at it and you think, well, they've got quite a few games until that Test series. It will fly by. Players will get rotated. We see it every single year, a few players that maybe don't have their best performance and all of a sudden they find themselves in the midweek team struggling to get in to play the Test series. So it's a fascinating dilemma because it's about the team performance they have to win, but surely in the back of those players' minds that they will also be thinking, a good performance for me here and I could be part of the Test series.
Yeah, tell us, Alfie, not many of us will know, they're playing in Perth, but Western Force, can you tell us a little bit about them and the standard they're up against, the Lions?
Yeah, well, Western Australia as a state is very much about the AFL, so rugby union isn't the #1 sport. The Western Force themselves, they had quite a good start to this Super Rugby season and then really faded away towards the end of the year. They ended up finishing 9th out of 11th. So look, on paper, you wouldn't expect they're going to cause the Lions quite as many problems as, say, the Brumbies or the Queensland Reds, some of the teams that they have coming up later on in terms of those tour games, in those warm-up games. as we said already, they do have some Wallabies players. They've got the likes of Nick White at scrum half, who fans of English rugby will know. He played for Exeter in the Premiership over here for quite a few years. They do have some quality there. I think the thing that might be a challenge for the Force, if you look back at their games this season, they tend to concede points. Given the incredible attacking options in the Lions team, I think we can expect the Lions to be able to put quite a few points on this side.
And another name that is familiar to rugby fans will be Kurtley Beale. He's involved in the Western Force, isn't he? But he won't be playing. Is he injured?
Yeah, it's so frustrating for him. He's coming towards the end of his career, so there is perhaps the feeling that this could be his swan song. He got a slight hamstring injury, which the head coach, Simon Cron, says isn't too bad, but they didn't want to aggravate it. So no Kurtley Beale in the team. He's a 95-cap Wallaby. It'd have been such a valuable in terms of experience tonight. They're hoping that he will be available for the First Nations and Pacifica 15, which the Lions will play later on in the tour. So we could still see Kurtley Beale. Unfortunately, that won't be tonight.
OK, well, look, enjoy it. And we look forward to hearing more
Thanks,
from
guys.
you.
Thanks, Alfie.
That is Alfie Reynolds out in Perth then, ahead of this first warm-up game on Australian soil for the Lions as they take on the Western Force. Our coverage begins at 10 and it all gets underway officially from 11. Don't forget, we'll be bringing you the live commentary of all 3 test matches, plus the warm-up games, and TalkSport is the only place on national radio where you can follow all of the Lions action. That's all thanks to Tenor Men.
Qatar Airways Lions Tour Roundup on TalkSport with coverage sponsored by Tenor Men. Don't let drips and dribbles get in the way of the life you lead or the sport you love. Find out more at tenormen.co.uk.
morning. This is Game Day Breakfast. You're tuning into this Saturday morning with the former Republic of Ireland striker Tony Cascarino, and I'm Natalie Sawyer. We are with you until 10. Not long to go then on this show. By the way, Kev, thank you very much. You're making me jealous. He sent us a photo of where he is right now. He says, love listening to you guys live on Coconut Beach in Koh Lak, Thailand.
Oh.
He's got a picture of himself with his girls Sharon and Amy, and looks as though he's having a great time. A little bit jealous. But we have got the weather. We are warm here. And we did have a message in about someone asking about the strengths of Christian Norgaard because they're an Arsenal fan, says he has a lot of similarities to Xhaka, and they think he's going to be a good signing. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that's a really valid point. Yeah, I think he'd be a good signing. You're talking about a player you can call upon and you can trust, and no one can do a job for you. They're important.
Yeah,
you might need them along the. If you get a bad injury list, you'll need someone to step in.
Yeah, and there is a lot to like about him. He's a real good professional, real good. Honestly, in terms of his. I said about earlier on, he's a teacher's pet. That was what he was with Thomas Frank. I imagine he'd be similar with Mikel Arteta because he just wants to be on the good side of the boss. A lot of our build-up play stems from him being in the number 6 position. He scores goals from set pieces, a real threat. He's one of those players I sometimes think defenders fail to pick up, or he moves around quite quickly. So he'll be a threat at set pieces too. He'll put the tackles in when needed, tactical fouls as well. Niggly. There's a lot to like about him, I have to say, and I'm sad that he might be another one of those leaving. But if you're getting him for 10 million plus a little bit more with add-ons, I think that's a bit of a snip, really. Anyhow, it's time for this.
Stats. Expected goals. Possession in the final third. Clean sheets. Yellow or red cards. Shots on target.
Shots on target.
These aren't just any stats. These are Natalie Sawyer stats.
Giving me a line.
I know. You just had to pop up, didn't you, in there? It's our weekly Saturday feature of Natalie Sawyer, where I can give you a few stats, maybe a question off the back as well. We've already mentioned Keith Andrews.
Yeah.
He is the only second manager named Keith to take permanent charge of a club in the English top flight. Hey? Didn't know that, did you? Who was the other Keith?
Oh, Keith Birkinshaw?
Correct. Who was in charge of Tottenham from 1976 to 1984. What's wrong with the name Keith then, eh?
8 years he survived at Spurs. He done well though, Keith Birkinshaw.
He
did do very well, yeah.
I was going to say.
He did well, yeah.
But as I say, what's wrong with the name Keith?
My first manager was Keith. Keith Peacock.
That's right. That is very true. It's a bit like the whole Sam Allardyce. If he was called, what was he saying? Sam Allardyce.
Yeah.
Then he might have got better. Well, people might have actually taken note of him a bit more. Anyhow, he's earned 35 caps for Republic of Ireland and featured at UEFA Euro 2012. Does that experience perhaps help to lessen the doubt from his playing career? Or is it irrelevant playing career when it comes to a manager role?
We never know, do we?
No.
I mean, it's got to help you because you have been around the game. You've been involved in dressing rooms. You've been around meeting, directors, managers, coaches. You speak to it. It's got to help you. I'm sure along the way you learned a lot about the different side of football, of not just being the player. I felt when I came out the game, I understood a lot more about the role of the manager and the coaches.
Yeah.
It's different when you just think about playing when you're younger days. You don't think too much about what their job is to try and get the best out of you. And sometimes it can be done in different ways.
Indeed. Interestingly, I had a message on X from Daniel Edmonds who said regarding Brentford's new boss, the Pompey boss took on Oxford's set-piece coach, who was still registered as a player, and in his first 2 full seasons got us promoted as champions from League One and then kept us in the Championship relatively comfortably in the end. So Daniel is saying trust the process, and of course he's talking about John Mousinho. Weird thing here. John Mousinho started his professional career at Brentford. And
Brentford's interlinked with everything, isn't it?
You can always find links. But the other thing I was going to say is, and the manager, from what I remember, the manager that gave John Mousinho his chance at Brentford was Martin Allen. And Martin Allen's coming on the show tomorrow.
Oh, he is going to come on.
Yeah, Magdalen's going to join us.
Isn't it amazing? A club that's just a bus stop in Chiswick.
Hounslow.
Hounslow.
Get it right. If you're going to throw that at me,
I meant the posh end, where closer to you're at. Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, nothing wrong with TWA. We love it in Brentford. Right, let's move on, shall we? Timo Werner has scored more Champions League goals than the original Ronaldo, who was the youngest Ballon d'Or winner. 17 goals to 14. So, does Timo Werner... I know the Tottenham move was not great, but does he just need to be at a club that maybe that he's loved and we're underestimating his possibilities?
I personally felt, the best of him. If you could ever say, in golf we use the analogy of the yips. Yeah. I felt he got the yips in front of goal. And he never, ever... he seemed to miss more often than score. And I felt for him, his confidence was shattered. His belief in getting goals, it just wasn't there. And I think the Chelsea experience, and to be fair, the Chelsea fans were fantastic, trying to always jeer him on, like trying to get him to, they could see a player suffering. And I've been there myself now. You're suffering, your game's not on, you're not playing your best football. But Timo Werner went to Spurs, and honestly, I can't remember a player having such a poor time. There were only the odd moments, but by the end of the season, well, so by the end, but probably by what time, sort of January onwards, Postecoglou totally wouldn't even use him.
I was going to say, I can't even remember him.
And he was the forgotten man. Apparently, he was on a wage of £175,000 a week, and I'm looking at a player that is quick. And after that, I couldn't think of anything that he had in his game that. He's not the biggest, so you wouldn't expect him to be good in the air, but he wouldn't even get the Michael Owen running across a defender and flicking one in and scoring with his head. He'd miss chance after chance. A one-on-one, goalkeeper was a big favourite against him every time.
Yeah, a player that needs a reset somewhere. Certainly.
Yeah, and whether it's abroad, it's been a tough one.
Just a quick one on that deal for Cristiano Ronaldo, around about 500 million that he signed to extend his stay at Al Nassr for 2 more years. He has one of the very few players to have made over 1,200 professional career appearances. That's the most by an outfield player. Has scored over 900 official senior career goals for club and country, making him the top goal scorer of all time. This will take him to 42, was it? We said 40.
42. 42. Yeah, 42 he'll get to.
Does that longevity redefine what's possible for elite players these days?
Well, he's set the bar, hasn't he? Yes. I mean, his physical condition is just extreme. The most amazing thing about Ronaldo for me has always been his hunger and his desire to still play football with all the money that's been thrown at him, and it's been a lot, that he's got to the sort of levels of wealth that are literally beyond a billionaire playing football. And he's still got that hunger and desire to carry on. That amazes me with Ronaldo. And you can see why he's got to where he's got to. Because from the 19-year-old kid that Man United signed and developed into what he is today and still going, that is something special and unique.
Yeah, yeah. But someone that people can look up to in the sense of you can play.
You could not like him in some ways.
Of course. But in terms of his career, you can look up to him and think, well, I could play at least into my late 30s.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I got to 38 and I felt I was very lucky. It was very rare. But what he's done and to still be playing, whether it's in the Saudi Pro League, it's still extraordinary. I mean, he's been the top goal scorer in the last 2 seasons for this team, hasn't he? In Saudi, so fair play to him.
Indeed. Okay, we'll be back tomorrow from 6 for the Weekend Sports Breakfast, but on the way next here on TalkSport, we're bringing you Lions Live as the British and Irish Lions take on the Western Force in Perth. So stay tuned to Andrew McKenna, Ben Kate and Alfie Reynolds as they bring you right across that game when coverage is starting from 10, but kickoff's at 11.